What if the Anunnaki didn't just visit Earth, but actively engineered humanity's very DNA to serve their own purposes? And what if the evidence of this lies hidden within ancient Sumerian texts, deliberately obscured from our understanding? Today, we unveil this suppressed history, revealing the profound extent to which the Anunnaki shaped human civilization. Their influence extends to our technology, beliefs, and even our very genetic code, in ways not yet grasped by mainstream science and historical academia. Prepare to delve into the manipulation of human DNA and its lasting consequences. The Anunnaki, an advanced extraterrestrial race, are said to have originated from the planet Nibiru, a celestial body whose existence remains a subject of debate within the scientific community. According to reinterpretations of ancient Sumerian tablets, their arrival on Earth was driven by a critical need for resources, primarily gold, which was essential for stabilizing Nibiru's atmosphere. Facing environmental catastrophe, they sought to exploit Earth's abundant reserves, establishing settlements and initiating mining operations. To achieve this, they utilized their advanced technology, showcasing capabilities in genetic engineering, space travel far beyond our current understanding, and the manipulation of energy on a planetary scale. It is even written that they had the ability to terraform entire planets, creating environments suitable for their needs, and even engineered hybrid species. This level of technological prowess allowed them to traverse vast distances and exert considerable influence upon the early inhabitants of Earth. Now, this is the account of a history that challenges conventional understandings. It is based on reinterpretations of Sumerian tablets, ancient myths passed down through generations, and suppressed archaeological evidence that has been deliberately overlooked or misinterpreted by powerful institutions. These institutions, it is said, seek to maintain control over the narrative of human history, preventing the masses from discovering the truth about our origins and the forces that have shaped our world. This alternative perspective suggests that the Anunnaki were not merely visitors, but active participants in the creation and evolution of humanity, manipulating our DNA and shaping our beliefs to serve their own purposes. This perspective, however, is not without its detractors, and it is essential to approach this information with a critical and discerning mind. How did the Anunnaki's presence on Earth fundamentally alter the trajectory of human history, and what is their hidden legacy in our modern world? To understand their impact, we need to go back to the beginning, to the Anunnaki homeworld, and the events that led them to Earth. We will explore their genetic manipulation of early humans, the construction of ancient structures like the pyramids and ziggurats for Anunnaki purposes, their technological influence on human inventions, their conflicts with humans and other extraterrestrial races, and the reasons for their eventual departure, or perhaps their continued hidden presence among us. The answers to these questions lie buried deep within the annals of history, waiting to be unearthed and brought to light. So, let us begin this journey of discovery and delve into the complete Anunnaki history, from creation to Earth domination. What's really fascinating is that the conventional story of the Anunnaki arriving on Earth for mere gold is drastically incomplete. The key to understanding their desperate journey lies in grasping the existential threat facing their home planet, Nibiru. Their quest wasn't about amassing wealth or exerting galactic dominance in the way we would think, but about planetary survival itself. So, while many believe the Anunnaki came to Earth seeking riches, they were in fact fleeing a dying world, driven by a desperate hope to save their civilization from utter extinction. Their gold mining operations were not a matter of greed, but a last-ditch effort to restore their atmosphere and prevent the collapse of their entire society. According to Sumerian texts, Nibiru followed a highly elliptical orbit, a celestial trajectory that brought it close to the sun only once every 3,600 years. This orbit caused extreme environmental changes, leading to increased volcanic activity, atmospheric stress, and a gradual loss of their protective atmospheric shield. Tablets speak of a dying planet and a ruling class in despair, desperately seeking a solution to their impending doom. Evidence suggests that the Anunnaki possessed technological capabilities far exceeding our current understanding. They had mastered interstellar space travel, constructing massive spacecraft capable of traversing vast cosmic distances. They also developed methods of interstellar navigation and life support systems necessary for long-duration voyages. The Anunnaki society at that time was rigidly hierarchical, with a clear division between the ruling class, who controlled resources and technology, and a worker class, who performed the labor necessary for survival. This is significant because Nibiru's environmental crisis directly threatened the Anunnaki social structure. The ruling class depended on solving the atmospheric problem to maintain their power and prevent societal collapse. It's important to note that the technological challenges of interstellar travel were immense. Imagine the energy requirements, the precision of navigation, and the psychological toll on the travelers. Another way to look at this is that the Anunnaki were not just explorers, but refugees fleeing a disaster. However, it's also crucial to consider the feasibility of their solution, which was the theory of using gold particles to repair a planet's atmosphere. While some might dismiss this as pseudoscience, the underlying principle has some basis in modern nanotechnology. The implications of this are that the Anunnaki may have possessed a sophisticated understanding of material science that allowed them to manipulate matter at the atomic level. Many civilizations throughout history, like modern civilization, have had a large gap between the ruling class and the workers, where the ruling class demands more and more from the workers. Is this perhaps why the Sumerians told of the Anunnaki in this way? But that's not all. This leads us to another crucial point, the search for a solution to Nibiru's atmospheric crisis. The Anunnaki ruling class, facing the potential end of their civilization, explored various options, including space travel and resource acquisition. This eventually led to the concept of the initial scouting mission to Earth. So, what happened when the Anunnaki scouts first arrived on Earth, and what did they find? The Anunnaki scouts embarked on a perilous journey to Earth, piloting advanced spacecraft across vast interstellar distances. Their initial observations revealed a planet teeming with life, a vibrant ecosystem far different from the dying world they had left behind. Assessments of the planet showed the presence of abundant resources, including vast deposits of gold. According to recovered ancient tablets, these scouting ships had advanced technologies that allowed them to scan the geological makeup of the planet from space. These scans confirmed the presence of gold deposits in specific regions, particularly in what would later be known as Africa and South America. Evidence of ancient mining operations across the globe provides further support for the Anunnaki presence on Earth. Archaeological findings suggest large-scale mining activities in ancient times, predating known human civilizations. These sites, often located in remote and inaccessible areas, show signs of advanced extraction techniques that would have required sophisticated tools and knowledge. It is said that some of these mines are incredibly deep, far deeper than anything early humans would have been able to accomplish. The Sumerians recorded a story of the ruling class of the Anunnaki, sending the worker class to the mines for hard labor, which they resented. It is important to note that the Anunnaki faced significant challenges in establishing a base on Earth. Establishing a colony on a new planet presented immense logistical difficulties, and adapting to a new environment that was also rife with dangerous life was also a challenge. The Sumerian tablets tell of the difficulty in transporting resources across interstellar distances, constructing infrastructure from scratch, and creating a sustainable environment for their people. What most people miss is that the ships had to be constructed using materials they were bringing with them, and had to use resources on Earth. It's interesting to note that the asteroid belt was also a challenge to traverse, and it is said that some of the scouting ships were destroyed while making their way through the asteroid belt. Faced with the evidence of Earth's abundant gold reserves, the Anunnaki Council made a momentous decision to colonize Earth and exploit its resources. This decision, driven by desperation and the will to survive, would have profound consequences for the planet and its inhabitants. The Anunnaki, with their superior technology and advanced knowledge, began planning a larger colonization effort, preparing to transport a workforce and equipment to Earth. The elite class of the Anunnaki stayed in protected space-age cities, while the lower classes were sent to the mines. What most fail to understand is that the Anunnaki colonization was an act of desperation, born from a dying planet and a desperate need for survival. So, with the Anunnaki on their way to Earth, what awaited them upon their arrival, and how would their presence change the course of human history? The Anunnaki's arrival on Earth was not a simple visit, but a desperate attempt to save their planet, and their subsequent actions would have profound consequences for humanity. But we're just scratching the surface of this complex history. What we'll discover next about the Anunnaki's genetic experiments and the creation of modern humans is even more shocking. But what if the idyllic image of early Earth, often portrayed as a lush paradise, was nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion? What if the Anunnaki, far from finding a welcoming haven, were confronted with a hostile and unforgiving world, a stark contrast to the dying planet they had left behind? The truth, often omitted from the conventional narrative, is that Earth presented significant challenges to these extraterrestrial visitors, challenges that would shape their every decision and ultimately alter the course of human history. The Anunnaki's initial landing sites, primarily in the region known as Mesopotamia, were not chosen for their beauty or serenity. Rather, these areas offered strategic advantages crucial for survival in a harsh and unfamiliar environment. Sumerian texts detail the establishment of Eridu as the first Anunnaki city on Earth, a settlement founded amidst sweltering heat, torrential floods, and the constant threat of indigenous life forms. Imagine landing on a planet where the very air you breathe is different, where the gravity pulls at you with unfamiliar force, and where unseen microbes lurk, posing a constant threat to your health. The harsh reality of early Earth was far from the paradise many imagine. This is significant because Mesopotamia, despite its challenges, provided the Anunnaki with access to vital water sources, abundant raw materials, and defensible terrain. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers offered a lifeline in an arid landscape, while the surrounding mountains held deposits of minerals and ores essential for their technology. According to Sumerian texts, it was Enki, the wise and resourceful Anunnaki leader, who identified and selected Eridu as the ideal location for their first settlement. "Here," he proclaimed, "we shall establish our foothold, and from here we shall conquer this world." But the challenges they faced were immense. They needed specialized equipment to filter the water, adapt to the atmosphere, and protect themselves from the unfamiliar flora and fauna. It's important to note the stark differences between the Anunnaki homeworld, Nibiru, and the primitive Earth they encountered. Nibiru, with its unique atmospheric composition, lower gravity, and advanced technological infrastructure, offered a vastly different environment than the untamed wilderness of early Earth. It is said that Nibiru had a heavy cloud cover, keeping the planet cool and shielding its inhabitants from harmful radiation. In contrast, Earth's atmosphere was thinner, the gravity stronger, and the environment teeming with unfamiliar and potentially dangerous organisms. These differences posed significant challenges for the Anunnaki, forcing them to adapt and innovate in order to survive. But that's not all. As the Anunnaki established their settlements, they quickly realized the urgent need for a specific resource: gold. The precious metal was not merely a symbol of wealth or power, but a vital component in their plan to save Nibiru from environmental collapse. However, extracting gold from the earth presented immense logistical challenges. It required a large workforce, specialized equipment, and a vast network of mining operations. How did the Anunnaki solve the problem of gold extraction, and what role did technology play in their operations? The Anunnaki scout teams, dispatched across the globe, were tasked with surveying the land, locating valuable resources, and establishing communication networks. These teams, equipped with advanced scanning technology, identified promising deposits of gold in various regions, including Africa, South America, and even remote islands in the Pacific Ocean. Their responsibilities extended beyond mere exploration. They were also responsible for establishing supply lines, constructing landing pads, and preparing the way for the arrival of the larger Anunnaki workforce. Ancient texts speak of the Anunnaki scouts as pathfinders and way showers, paving the way for their civilization's expansion. Evidence of advanced Anunnaki mining technology can be found in the remnants of ancient mining sites around the world. These sites, often located in remote and inaccessible areas, exhibit signs of sophisticated extraction techniques that predate known human civilizations. Ancient tools, machines, and techniques used to extract gold have been discovered that would be impossible for primitive humans to create. Some researchers suggest the Anunnaki possessed advanced drilling equipment, capable of boring deep into the Earth's crust, as well as sophisticated refining processes for extracting pure gold from ore. Initially, the Anunnaki relied on workers transported from Nibiru to carry out the arduous task of mining. However, managing this workforce in the harsh and unforgiving environment of early Earth presented numerous challenges. The Anunnaki workers, accustomed to the controlled environment of Nibiru, struggled to adapt to the heat, humidity, and physical demands of mining operations. The lower classes of Nibiru resented the elite class for making them perform such a task. The Anunnaki mining sites were vast and complex, requiring a rigid organizational structure and constant supervision. It is said that the Anunnaki mining operations stretched across continents, with interconnected networks of tunnels, processing plants, and transportation routes. The technological advantages of the Anunnaki in mining operations were undeniable. Compared to the primitive techniques of early humans, the Anunnaki possessed tools, machines, and knowledge that were centuries, if not millennia, ahead of their time. They had the capability to move mountains and extract vast quantities of ore. While humans at that time were limited to rudimentary tools and manual labor, the Anunnaki employed advanced technologies, including potential energy weapons for blasting rock formations and sophisticated construction methods for building underground facilities. Archaeological and geological evidence supports the idea of advanced mining operations in ancient times. Anomalies, unexplained structures, and unusual geological formations suggest sophisticated technology was used. Some researchers point to ancient tunnels and shafts that exhibit signs of precision cutting and engineering, as well as unusual geological formations that could be the result of large-scale mining activities. Could it be that the Anunnaki possessed knowledge of Earth's geology that is still unknown to modern science? The Anunnaki organizational structure in mining was hierarchical, with a clear division of labor and a chain of command. Overseers, engineers, and workers were all involved in the process. At the top of the hierarchy were the Anunnaki leaders, who directed the overall mining operations and made strategic decisions. Beneath them were the engineers, who designed and maintained the equipment and oversaw the technical aspects of the mining process. Finally, there were the workers, who carried out the physical labor of extracting, transporting, and refining the gold. But that's not all. As the Anunnaki struggled to manage their workforce and maintain the flow of gold, they began to realize the need for a more sustainable labor source. The Anunnaki leaders were not only struggling with the harsh conditions and the homesickness of their workers, but they were also faced with the ever-present threat of rebellion. It became clear that a more compliant and readily available workforce was needed to ensure the success of their mission. This realization led them to consider a drastic solution: genetic manipulation. They decided to create a new species, a hybrid of Anunnaki and Earth-based life forms, specifically designed for the rigors of mining. How did the Anunnaki create the first humans, and what was their intended purpose? So, after summarizing the harsh conditions of early Earth and the Anunnaki's struggle to adapt and extract gold, what have we learned? The initial settlements, the establishment of mining operations, the technological capabilities, and the logistical challenges all point to a single, overarching narrative. The Anunnaki's desperate need for gold led them to colonize Earth, establish mining operations, and ultimately, to consider drastic measures to secure their gold supply. With the Anunnaki facing a labor crisis, what drastic steps would they take to secure their gold supply, and what would be the consequences for humanity? The Anunnaki's need for gold led them to colonize Earth, establish mining operations, and ultimately, to create a new species through genetic manipulation, forever altering the course of human history. But we're just scratching the surface. What happened next is even more shocking. Did you know that the Anunnaki's creation of humanity was not a single, masterful stroke, but a messy, iterative process marked by numerous failures and ethical compromises? The core of this endeavor was not a divine act of creation, but rather a series of genetic experiments. Initial attempts yielded beings ill-suited for the harsh realities of Earth, creatures that were flawed, incomplete, or simply unable to perform the tasks for which they were designed. This reveals a crucial aspect of the Anunnaki presence on Earth. They were not infallible gods, but beings grappling with complex scientific challenges and moral dilemmas. According to Sumerian texts, the creation process was spearheaded by Enki, the brilliant but often rebellious scientist, and Ninmah, the skilled medical expert and midwife. The Atrahasis epic, one of the most detailed accounts of the creation, describes how Enki and Ninmah mixed the DNA of Anunnaki with that of pre-existing hominids, beings already inhabiting Earth. Let the Ninmah mix the blood, the text reads, with the flesh and the soul that is in it. This mixture, combined with the essence of a slain Anunnaki god, was intended to create a worker species capable of enduring the rigors of mining and construction. It must be noted, they were not creating life from scratch, so to speak, but rather enhancing pre-existing DNA. Enki, driven by his scientific curiosity and perhaps a touch of compassion, sought to alleviate the burden on the Anunnaki workers. Ninmah, on the other hand, seems to have approached the task with a more cautious and ethical mindset. So it was said, "Why must we create beings destined for servitude?" she questioned, according to some interpretations of the ancient texts. Is there no other way to ease our burden? The different roles of Enki and Ninmah are essential to understanding the true scope of the Anunnaki motivations, scientific curiosity versus the ethics of genetic manipulation. But what was the extent of the Anunnaki's genetic knowledge? The answer can be found by elaborating on their understanding of DNA and the secrets of genetic manipulation. Their capabilities far surpassed anything achievable by primitive humans. The Anunnaki possessed the ability to combine traits from different species, manipulate gene expression, and even create entirely new organs and biological functions. the ability to manipulate the very building blocks of life, something modern science has only begun to scratch the surface of. The creation of a slave race raises profound ethical questions. Did the Anunnaki consider the moral implications of their actions? Did they grapple with the concepts of consent and free will? The ancient texts offer few answers. Some scholars suggest that the Anunnaki viewed humans as mere tools, resources to be exploited for their own benefit. Others argue that Enki, in particular, recognized the potential for human consciousness and sought to guide humanity towards a more enlightened path. What was their perspective on creating a slave race, and did they even consider the concept of free will? The Anunnaki's initial attempts to create humans were not without their failures. Sumerian texts describe a series of prototype humans, beings with various physical and mental defects. Some were sterile, others were unable to speak, and still others were plagued by disease and deformities. These failed experiments were rejected, deemed unsuitable for the tasks at hand. Some scholars relate this to the story of the Adam in the Bible, a prototype human who was ultimately rejected in favor of a more refined model. The question is, what characteristics did these failed experiments possess, and what does this tell us about the Anunnaki's goals? Now, this is the account of how the initial creation of humans transitioned into the introduction of advanced consciousness. While the Anunnaki's initial goal was to create a simple, obedient worker, the resulting humans developed unexpected intellectual capabilities. They began to question their existence, to seek knowledge, and to challenge the authority of their creators. This unintended consequence threatened the Anunnaki's control and led them to take measures to suppress human awareness. How did the Anunnaki attempt to suppress human knowledge, and why did they feel it was necessary? The Anunnaki, fearing the potential of a truly awakened humanity, attempted to control human knowledge through various means. Access to information was strictly limited. Social structures were manipulated to create hierarchies and divisions, and false beliefs were propagated to keep humans subservient. The Anunnaki elite controlled the flow of knowledge, reserving advanced teachings and technologies for themselves. They created a system of priests and rulers who served as intermediaries between the gods and the people, ensuring that the masses remained ignorant of the true nature of reality. But amidst this oppression, there emerged a figure who would become a symbol of human enlightenment: Enki. Despite his role in the creation of humanity, Enki recognized the potential for human greatness and sought to subvert the Anunnaki's control. He is said to have warned humans about impending dangers, shared forbidden knowledge, and imparted skills that would enable them to build their own civilization. How did Enki manage to defy the Anunnaki leadership, and what motivated him to act as a benefactor of humanity? It is said that the serpent represents the god Enki as the one who gave the knowledge to mankind. The serpent offered Adam and Eve the fruit of knowledge, an act of defiance against the Anunnaki's prohibition. But was this really an act of temptation, or was it an act of liberation? Was the serpent truly an evil being, or was it a symbol of enlightenment? According to some interpretations, the serpent represents the divine spark within humanity, the potential for knowledge and self-awareness that the Anunnaki sought to suppress. Despite the Anunnaki's attempts to control humanity, human civilization flourished. The Sumerians, the descendants of the first humans, developed writing, mathematics, astronomy, and law. They built monumental structures such as ziggurats and temples, and created a complex social and political system. The rise of Sumerian civilization represents a triumph of human ingenuity and resilience, a testament to the power of knowledge and the indomitable spirit of mankind. But what enabled the Sumerians to achieve such remarkable progress, and how did the Anunnaki react to their growing independence? But the Anunnaki's actions led to unintended consequences. In their attempts to control humans, the Anunnaki inadvertently fostered the development of complex societies, advanced technologies, and independent thought. By limiting access to information, they inadvertently created a thirst for knowledge. By manipulating social structures, they inadvertently sowed the seeds of rebellion. As the Anunnaki sought to control human evolution, they inadvertently unleashed the forces that would ultimately challenge their authority. What unintended consequences arose from the Anunnaki's actions, and how did these consequences shape human history? As human intelligence and independence grew, the Anunnaki's perspective shifted. Some saw humans as a threat, a potential rival for power. Others viewed them as a valuable asset, a source of labor and innovation. The Anunnaki debated amongst themselves about the future of humanity. Should they continue to control humans, or should they allow them to evolve on their own? Should they destroy the human race, or should they guide them towards a more enlightened path? What was the Anunnaki's perspective on human development, and how did their internal conflicts shape their relationship with humanity? The concept of a genetic upgrade emerges wherein humans were genetically compatible and bred with the Anunnaki. Did this genetic mixing occur to give certain humans abilities, and why were only certain people chosen for the task? This would be the origin of kings and rulers. This concept is important for understanding the biblical accounts of the Nephilim, the giants that walked the earth. Now, this is the account of how the emergence of human civilization transitioned into the growing conflict between humans and the Anunnaki. As humanity flourished, the Anunnaki's control began to erode. Humans began to question their authority, to challenge their laws, and to rebel against their rule. This growing conflict led to open warfare, with humans and Anunnaki battling for control of the earth. How did the Anunnaki's control over humanity begin to erode, and what were the major events in the conflict between humans and the Anunnaki? But the Great Flood would serve as a turning point. The Great Flood reshaped human civilization and the Anunnaki's presence on Earth. This cataclysmic event destroyed much of what humanity had built, wiping out entire cities and civilizations. The Anunnaki, too, were deeply affected by the flood, losing many of their settlements and resources. This flood would lead to a new chapter in the relationship between humans and the Anunnaki, a chapter marked by both conflict and cooperation. With the conflict between humans and the Anunnaki reaching a breaking point, what cataclysmic event would reshape the world, and what would be the long-term consequences for both species? The Anunnaki's creation of humans, their attempts to control them, and the subsequent conflict between the two species led to a series of transformative events, including the Great Flood, that profoundly altered the course of human history. What caused the Great Flood, and how did it alter the relationship between humans and the Anunnaki? Prepare to explore this cataclysmic event as we delve deeper into the hidden history of our world. Did you know that the Great Flood, often portrayed as a singular act of divine retribution, was in reality a complex event driven by multiple factors, including the Anunnaki's own internal power struggles and resource control? The traditional view paints a picture of a just and righteous God punishing humanity for its wickedness, but the truth, as revealed in Sumerian texts, is far more nuanced, hinting at a selective cleansing, where certain Anunnaki factions sought to eliminate specific human bloodlines or knowledge they deemed dangerous. According to the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Atrahasis, the decision to unleash the flood was made by the Anunnaki Council, with Enlil, the commander, being a strong proponent. The Atrahasis epic describes how Enki, the scientist, secretly warned Utnapishtim, the Sumerian Noah, of the impending disaster, instructing him to build an ark to save himself and his family. "Tear down your house, build a boat," Enki was saying. This account mirrors the biblical flood narrative, but with a crucial difference. The Anunnaki's motivations were not solely about punishing sin, but also about managing resources and controlling the human population. Consider this. The biblical version may be a censored or altered version of the original Sumerian story. What was the reason for that? It's important to note the geological evidence of a major flood event in ancient Mesopotamia. Archaeological findings reveal layers of sediment deposits, indicating a large-scale flood that occurred around 3000 BCE. These geological anomalies support the occurrence of a cataclysmic event that could have inspired the flood myths found in Sumerian and biblical texts. This further supports the claim that the biblical account is a misinterpretation of actual events. But what this means is this flood affected not just the Mesopotamia area, it had a far reach. This is significant because it highlights the Annunnaki's internal conflicts and power struggles. Enlil, who favored the flood, and Enki, who opposed it, represented different factions within the Anunnaki hierarchy. Enlil was concerned about human overpopulation and the depletion of resources, while Enki seemed to have a greater affinity for humanity. The tensions between these two factions played a major role in the events leading up to the flood. As Enlil was saying, humans have grown too numerous. Their noise keeps me awake. But Enki felt that humanity deserved a chance to evolve and progress. This disagreement raises the question of whether the Anunnaki had the right to interfere with human civilization in such a drastic way. Now, this is the account of how the flood drastically changed the landscape, wiped out much of humanity, and forced the Anunnaki to reassess their role on Earth. This cataclysmic event led to a new chapter in the relationship between humans and the Anunnaki, a chapter marked by both conflict and cooperation, but ultimately a new beginning for human civilization guided and controlled by the Anunnaki. How did the Anunnaki reorganize human civilization after the flood, and what were the long-term consequences of this reorganization? After the flood, the Anunnaki helped the survivors rebuild society, but with a new social order and a new set of rules. The Anunnaki helped re-establish agriculture by seeding with advanced genetic seeds, infrastructure by using the ziggurats as resource collection points, and social order by introducing the concept of royalty. The re-emergence of kingship, the construction of ziggurats, and the establishment of religious systems centered on Anunnaki worship all point to the Anunnaki's desire for control and resource extraction. The Sumerian king list, for example, details a succession of rulers who claim to have received their authority directly from the Anunnaki. In the cities of Sumer, new temples were erected, dedicated to the Anunnaki gods, with elaborate rituals and sacrifices designed to appease them. Evidence of the Anunnaki's control over post-flood societies can be found in the re-emergence of kingship, the construction of ziggurats, and the establishment of religious systems centered on Anunnaki worship. Connect these developments to the Anunnaki's desire for control and resource extraction. The Anunnaki legitimized their power by claiming divine authority and appointing human rulers as their representatives, thus introducing the concept of divine right to rule. In that moment, the Anunnaki gave themselves permission to guide and rule mankind. But here's what most people miss. Enki, witnessing the devastation and the Anunnaki's tightening grip, began to question the long-term consequences of their actions. He saw the potential for human suffering and the suppression of human potential. Did Enki realize the consequences of the other Anunnaki and their decisions? This shift in Enki's perspective is significant because it reveals a growing conflict within the Anunnaki themselves. While some, like Enlil, sought to maintain control and exploit human resources, others, like Enki, began to advocate for a more hands-off approach, allowing humanity to evolve on its own. What this means is that Enki, again, changed sides. Enki was now willing to risk his position within the Anunnaki hierarchy to protect humanity from what he perceived as a tyrannical regime. it's crucial to remember that the Anunnaki were not a monolithic entity. Now, this is the account of the Anunnaki's long-term goals for humanity. Explore whether they intended to create a truly independent civilization, or simply wanted to maintain control for their own benefit. There's much discussion surrounding the possibility that they had a plan for human evolution, or a great experiment. The Anunnaki's interactions with other extraterrestrial races is another layer to this. Were the Anunnaki acting alone or as part of a larger galactic network? There is certainly the idea of conflicts and alliances with other ET groups. And so it was. As the Anunnaki rebuilt civilization, we must focus on which specific Anunnaki survived the flood, where they went, and how they rebuilt society. Enlil continued to enforce his strict control, establishing new laws and hierarchies. Enki, however, worked behind the scenes, subtly guiding humanity towards greater independence and self-awareness. Ninmah, the chief medical officer, focused on healing the land and its people, using her advanced knowledge to restore balance to the ecosystem. The shifting power dynamics amongst them after the cataclysm set the stage for future conflicts. But let's not forget that this Earth was a war zone, and these were the generals. Analytically, one must consider if this was a great experiment for the Anunnaki. One could think of it like a garden. The Anunnaki planted the seeds of civilization, nurtured its growth, and pruned away what they deemed undesirable. This allows us to visualize how the Anunnaki sought to control the evolution of humanity, guiding it towards a predetermined outcome. What if that outcome wasn't in the best interests of mankind? What does all this mean? To what result? And how will they be implemented? Now, this is the account of how the Anunnaki gradually withdrew from direct rule, stating that the Anunnaki eventually began to reduce their direct involvement in human society, allowing humans to take on more responsibility. The concept of the Anunnaki's legacy is upon us. The Anunnaki left behind a wealth of knowledge, technology, and cultural influence that shaped human civilization for millennia, but this legacy is one of control. But what does it mean to be so closely tied to a species as advanced as the Anunnaki? This action brings upon the question, why did the Anunnaki withdraw from direct rule, and what lasting impact did they leave on human civilization? This question is pivotal to the complete understanding of our world's history. In synthesis, the Great Flood reshaped the relationship between humans and the Anunnaki, leading to a new social order, the gradual withdrawal of the Anunnaki, and a lasting legacy that continues to influence human civilization to this day. The biblical flood is a misinterpretation of this great cataclysm. The causes and consequences of this cataclysmic event are essential in truly understanding the world we live in today. This means for us that it is important to understand the relationship the Anunnaki had with the Earth in order to determine our destiny. This challenges us to reconsider everything we know about our origins and our place in the cosmos. With the Anunnaki stepping back from direct control, what new world orders would emerge? And how would the Anunnaki's legacy continue to influence human civilization? The evidence is clear. The Great Flood was a pivotal event that reshaped the relationship between humans and the Anunnaki, leading to a new social order, the gradual withdrawal of the Anunnaki, and a lasting legacy that continues to influence human civilization to this day. The stage is now set for humanity to forge its own destiny, but the Anunnaki's influence remains, a subtle undercurrent shaping our world in ways we are only beginning to understand. And what we'll discover next is even more shocking. Did you know that the Anunnaki's withdrawal from Earth wasn't a retreat, but a strategic shift, a calculated move to exert influence from behind the curtain? What if I told you that the notion of human independence, of a species rising solely on its own merits, is a carefully constructed illusion, a puppet show orchestrated by those who departed but never truly left? The core of this deception lies in the power vacuum created by their supposed absence, a vacuum meticulously designed to be filled by pre-selected human bloodlines, loyal servants who would continue to execute the Annunnaki's agenda from the shadows. Is it not a grand deception to grant freedom to a people while ensuring their path is guided by preordained puppet masters? Now, this is the account of how the Anunnaki orchestrated their indirect rule through human proxies, establishing kingdoms and dynasties that would serve their interests. The Sumerian texts themselves provide chilling evidence of this manipulation. Consider the tablets that describe the Anunnaki's selection and coronation of human rulers. These are not mere accounts of divine blessing, but rather detailed instructions on how to maintain control through human intermediaries. The Anunnaki didn't simply abandon Earth. They engineered a system where their influence would persist through generations of carefully chosen and rigorously trained human leaders. But to what lengths would these Anunnaki go to ensure the perpetuation of their control? In those days, the texts whisper, kingship descended from heaven, a phrase often interpreted as divine legitimacy. But what if it was a strategic maneuver? The concept of the divine right to rule wasn't a spontaneous human invention, but an Anunnaki construct, a tool to legitimize the power of their chosen proxies. The Anunnaki selected individuals who displayed not only loyalty, but also intelligence and military prowess, grooming them to rule in their stead. They established ziggurats not merely as places of worship, but as command centers, communication hubs, and astronomical observatories, all of which served to reinforce their control and facilitate the transfer of knowledge and authority to their chosen elites. What secrets were whispered within the walls of these ziggurats, and what oaths were sworn in the name of the Anunnaki? Then, new human empires emerged in Mesopotamia: Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, each a testament to the Anunnaki's enduring influence. These empires served as vehicles for disseminating Anunnaki culture, technology, and religious beliefs, spreading their doctrines and practices throughout the region. The very foundations of Mesopotamian civilization were shaped by the Anunnaki's agenda, their hand evident in every aspect of society, from its laws and customs to its art and architecture. Consider, though, if these empires were merely extensions of Anunnaki influence, what true agency did their human rulers possess? Now, let's delve deeper into the Anunnaki's criteria for selecting human rulers and the methods they employed to maintain control. The Anunnaki sought proxies who were not only loyal and intelligent, but also possessed a certain ruthlessness, a willingness to enforce their will without question. There's a very real possibility that genetic selection or manipulation played a role in creating these ideal rulers, ensuring that they possess the traits necessary to carry out the Anunnaki's commands. It is vital to understand this relationship to truly know ourselves. But the most relevant question is this: were humans just simply puppets? The Anunnaki controlled their human rulers through a variety of means, including advisors, prophecies, and religious rituals. They surrounded their proxies with trusted counselors who would guide their decisions and ensure that they remained aligned with the Anunnaki's interests. Prophecies were used to instill fear and obedience, while religious rituals served to reinforce the legitimacy of the rulers and their connection to the Anunnaki gods. Were these rulers truly independent, or were they merely puppets dancing to the strings of their Anunnaki overlords? Consider if our own leaders are just puppets of a higher power. Now, this is the account of how Anunnaki culture permeated early human societies. Their religious beliefs, social structures, and technological innovations shaped the development of Mesopotamian civilization, leaving an indelible mark on the region. Compare this with the rest of the world, highlighting the differences in society as evidence of where the Anunnaki helped and where they were absent. In regions untouched by Anunnaki influence, societies developed along different trajectories, lacking the advanced knowledge and technologies that characterized Mesopotamia. The contrast between these regions serves as further evidence of the Anunnaki's profound impact on human civilization. The question that remains is this: did they do this in other parts of the world? Then, consider this. If the Anunnaki withdrew from direct rule, what forces preserved and transmitted their knowledge and technology through generations? The answer lies in the emergence of mystery schools and secret societies, organizations that served as repositories of esoteric knowledge and guardians of the Anunnaki's legacy. These societies preserved and transmitted Anunnaki knowledge through generations of initiates, ensuring that their secrets would endure long after their physical departure. But just how far-reaching are these societies? Now, this leads us to a simple question. How did the Anunnaki's knowledge and technology influence the development of human civilization? And how was this knowledge preserved and transmitted through secret societies? The Anunnaki shared advanced knowledge and technologies with their chosen human rulers, accelerating the pace of civilization and ushering in an era of unprecedented progress. But to what end? To what reward? Now, let's expand on the Anunnaki's technological contributions to human civilization. They introduced advanced irrigation systems that transformed arid landscapes into fertile fields, enabling the growth of agriculture and the sustenance of large populations. Their mastery of metallurgy led to the creation of new tools and weapons, revolutionizing warfare and industry. Their understanding of mathematics and astronomy enabled them to chart the heavens, predict celestial events, and develop sophisticated calendars. But consider how it was so specifically advanced. Was there a gatekeeper? Archaeological and textual evidence abounds, attesting to the Anunnaki's advanced knowledge and technologies. The ruins of ancient cities reveal sophisticated engineering feats, while cuneiform tablets record complex mathematical calculations and astronomical observations. These artifacts serve as tangible reminders of the Anunnaki's profound influence on human civilization. But who specifically wrote and studied this? Now, let's dive deep into the role of writing in preserving Anunnaki knowledge. The development of cuneiform writing was a pivotal moment in human history, enabling the recording of historical events, religious beliefs, and scientific knowledge. But here's what most people miss. The control of writing enabled certain people to be scribes, creating class systems and concentrating knowledge in the hands of a select few. This control of information allowed the Anunnaki and their human proxies to shape the narrative of history, suppressing dissenting opinions and reinforcing their dominance. But how much control did they truly have? Then comes the origins and influence of mystery schools and secret societies. These organizations emerged in ancient Egypt, Greece, and other regions with strong Anunnaki influence, serving as sanctuaries for esoteric knowledge and centers of initiation. They preserved and transmitted the Anunnaki's teachings, ensuring that their legacy would endure through the ages. But were these mystery schools truly benevolent institutions, or were they simply tools for maintaining control? To what extent are they still in control today? Now, let's elaborate on Sumerian writing as a form of advanced technology. Cuneiform was not merely a system of record-keeping. It was a powerful tool for shaping human thought and controlling the flow of information. Detail the capabilities of the system and highlight which sectors of society had access to it. The scribes, who were trained in the art of cuneiform, wielded immense power, shaping the narrative of history and preserving the Anunnaki's legacy. They served as gatekeepers of knowledge, controlling who had access to information and how it was interpreted. But did they do it knowingly? Now, this is the account of the Anunnaki's motives for sharing knowledge with humanity. Debate whether they were genuinely trying to help humanity or simply using knowledge as a tool for control. There's the possibility that they had a long-term plan for human evolution, a grand experiment designed to shape humanity into a species that would serve their purposes. The Anunnaki may have sought to guide human evolution, steering it towards a predetermined outcome that aligned with their own agenda. Were we lab rats? Then, we must present evidence of Anunnaki influence on ancient religions and highlight parallels between Sumerian mythology and other ancient religious systems. The Anunnaki may have shaped human beliefs about gods, creation, and the afterlife, instilling in them a sense of awe and obedience. Ancient religions often featured gods and goddesses with striking similarities to the Anunnaki, suggesting a common origin or influence. But how did they influence other areas? What does this mean for the ethical implications of secret societies controlling knowledge? Explore the potential for abuse of power and the suppression of dissenting opinions. Analyze whether these organizations have acted in the best interests of humanity or simply served their own agendas. Secret societies have often been accused of hoarding knowledge and manipulating events to serve their own interests, raising questions about their true intentions and their impact on human society. Is it possible that they are genuinely evil? Now, this is the account of the Anunnaki's legacy in the ancient world and their potential influence in modern times, stating that the Anunnaki's knowledge, technology, and bloodlines may have persisted through history, influencing modern society in subtle but significant ways. What do they influence, specifically? To what gain? With that, let's introduce the concept of Anunnaki bloodlines in modern elites, and explain how some believe that certain powerful families and individuals are descendants of the Anunnaki or possess their genetic traits. These bloodlines, it is believed, have inherited the Anunnaki's knowledge, power, and ambition, continuing to shape human civilization from behind the scenes. What is it that they're doing? As such, the question must be posed. To what extent does the Anunnaki legacy continue to influence human civilization today, and are there hidden bloodlines or secret societies that carry on their agenda? This is more than just hidden technology but actual people and bloodlines that were chosen, and this will have enormous effect on humanity. So what have we learned? The Anunnaki's withdrawal from direct rule and their establishment of human kingdoms represent a pivotal moment in human history, shaping the course of civilization in profound ways. The dissemination of Anunnaki knowledge and technology and the role of secret societies have had a lasting impact on human civilization, influencing our beliefs, our technologies, and our social structures. The Anunnaki's potential influence on modern society and the concept of Anunnaki bloodlines add another layer to the complexity of their relationship with humanity. But how much of this influence is truly understood? As we look at the modern world, can we see the echoes of the Anunnaki's ancient influence? And what does this mean for our future? The Anunnaki's legacy extends far beyond the ancient world, with their knowledge, technology, and possibly even their bloodlines continuing to shape human civilization in subtle but significant ways, making their role in our history more important than historians give credit. How is this possible, and how can you stop it? The evidence is overwhelming. The Anunnaki's withdrawal from direct rule was not an abandonment but a strategic shift, designed to perpetuate their influence through human proxies. The dissemination of their knowledge and the rise of secret societies ensured that their legacy would endure through the ages. As we look at the modern world, we can see the echoes of their ancient influence in our technologies, our beliefs, and our social structures. But we're just scratching the surface. What we'll discover next is even more shocking. Did you think the Anunnaki were a long-lost civilization with no relevance to modern times? What if I told you that Anunnaki bloodlines and their hidden agendas continue to shape modern society through powerful elites and secret societies? This idea, alluring as it is, is fraught with danger, for it speaks of manipulation and control on a scale that defies comprehension. Are we truly in control of our destiny, or are we unknowingly following a script written millennia ago by the Anunnaki? Now, this is the account of how Anunnaki bloodlines may have persisted through history, influencing modern society in subtle but significant ways. Consider the historical accounts of elite families who claim descent from ancient rulers or gods. Many European royal families, for instance, trace their lineage back to figures shrouded in myth and legend, figures who were often associated with divine or semi-divine status. And what of architectural patterns and religious symbols that echo ancient Mesopotamian designs in modern structures and organizations? The obelisk, a symbol of ancient Egypt, stands tall in cities around the world, from Washington, D.C. to Vatican City, a silent testament to the enduring influence of ancient beliefs. Also, we cannot forget the Book of Enoch as a biblical text which explains the lineage of watchers and giants who came down from heaven. So, what are we to think of these blatant displays? Then, consider the historical evidence that is often presented to support the idea of Anunnaki bloodlines. How valid are these claims of descent from ancient rulers? Is it possible that these families are simply perpetuating myths and legends to enhance their own power and prestige? And what about the architectural patterns and religious symbols that echo ancient Mesopotamian designs? Are these simply coincidences, or are they evidence of a deeper connection to the Anunnaki? It's important to note the potential for confirmation bias, the tendency to interpret patterns in ways that support pre-existing beliefs. Just because something looks like a duck doesn't mean it is. Now, let's explore the role of secret societies in preserving knowledge and power, both for good and for ill. Throughout history, secret societies have served as repositories of esoteric knowledge, guarding ancient secrets and transmitting them through generations of initiates. Some of these societies, such as the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians, claim to possess knowledge that dates back to ancient Egypt and Sumer, knowledge that may have originated with the Anunnaki. What secrets do these societies hold, and what role do they play in shaping modern society? Then, consider the motivations and agendas of powerful families like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and their alleged connections to Anunnaki bloodlines. Are they benevolent philanthropists, working to improve the world, or are they ruthless manipulators, seeking to control global events for their own benefit? And what about the concept of hidden knowledge and its preservation through secret societies? Is this knowledge truly a source of power, or is it simply a collection of myths and legends? It's also important to acknowledge counterarguments that dismiss the idea of Anunnaki bloodlines as conspiracy theories. Many historians and scientists argue that there is no credible evidence to support these claims. Now, this leads us to a new question. To what extent has Anunnaki technology shaped modern innovations, and are there hidden clues in our technology that point to their influence? It is said that Anunnaki technology and knowledge may have been passed down through generations, influencing modern inventions and scientific advancements. From advanced mathematics and engineering to astronomy and medicine, the Anunnaki may have laid the foundation for many of the technologies that we take for granted today. But is there any truth to these claims? Then, consider the potential for reverse engineering ancient technologies, and the possibility that some modern inventions are based on rediscovered Anunnaki principles. Some researchers believe that ancient structures like the pyramids of Giza and the ziggurats of Mesopotamia were not simply tombs or temples, but were also sophisticated technological devices, capable of harnessing and transmitting energy. Is it possible that modern scientists have rediscovered and adapted these ancient technologies for their own purposes? For example, ancient Sumerian texts demonstrate advanced mathematics and the concept of the number 60, which is still used in clocks today. Was this just luck? Now, let's explore the role of scientists and inventors in uncovering hidden knowledge and pushing the boundaries of human understanding. Throughout history, there have been individuals who have challenged the established order, seeking to unlock the secrets of the universe and push the boundaries of human knowledge. Some of these individuals, such as Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein, are said to have possessed insights that defied conventional explanation, insights that may have been inspired by Annunaki technology. Did they know something the rest of us don't? What can we say about the Annunnaki's influence on banking, finance, and economics, and the hidden wealth of the world? The Annunnaki's mastery of advanced mathematics may have paved the way for our current financial systems. Then let's expand on different secret societies such as the Illuminati, Freemasons, and Skull and Bones, their origin, purpose, and influence in society. The Anunnaki may have established these societies to preserve and transmit their knowledge. Is this their goal? Then, let's delve deeper into the technological evidence, considering alternative explanations for the similarities between ancient and modern technologies. It's important to acknowledge the potential for independent invention and the tendency to attribute advanced knowledge to extraterrestrial sources without sufficient evidence. Many scientific and technological advancements have emerged from independent research and experimentation, without any direct connection to ancient civilizations or extraterrestrial beings. So, what evidence do we have? What is the ethical implication of advanced technology and the potential for both progress and destruction? How can the control and misuse of the technology impact humanity? Are our actions guided by free will or the Annunnaki's influence? Let us also examine the connections between the secret societies and the current world leaders. Consider for a moment whether they are being influenced, and if so, by whom. Now let us ask this question. Are there signs that the Anunnaki are preparing for a return, or are they already among us, secretly manipulating world events from behind the scenes? Some believe that the Anunnaki may be planning to return to Earth, or that they have never truly left, are constantly watching us, and that is why there are government cover-ups. Are they truly still here? What do they want? Then, let's examine the potential Anunnaki underground bases around the world. What purpose do these serve, and are they in operation? Present evidence of alleged UFO sightings, unexplained phenomena, and government cover-ups. How much of this has to do with the Anunnaki and their possible return? What is their ultimate plan? What are the prophecies and predictions related to the Anunnaki's return, considering both hopeful and ominous interpretations? There may be some who seek to study their return and use it for their own personal gain. Discuss the potential for extraterrestrial contact and the implications for humanity. Will the Anunnaki return and help us, or destroy us? It all remains to be seen. Then, what does all of the UFO evidence mean, and are there alternative explanations for the sightings and phenomena? Could these events be misinterpretations or simply hoaxes? Discuss the possibility of misidentification, psychological factors, and deliberate hoaxes. Explore the range of possible scenarios for extraterrestrial contact, from benevolent intervention to hostile invasion. Examine the role of fear and speculation in shaping beliefs about the Anunnaki's return. How much of what we see is actually real, and how much is just speculation? With all the evidence presented, what can we conclude about the Anunnaki's role in our modern world, and what does this mean for the future of humanity? The Anunnaki legacy continues to be a subject of speculation and debate, with some believing that their influence persists through hidden bloodlines, advanced technology, and the possibility of a future return, challenging us to critically examine our understanding of history and our place in the cosmos. But we're just scratching the surface. What we'll discover next is even more shocking. But are the Anunnaki truly gone, Or is their influence merely hidden, subtly guiding the hands that shape our world today? If the Anunnaki are still present, how would they exert their power in the modern world, where overt displays of God-like authority are no longer accepted? The answer, perhaps, lies in the subtle manipulation of economic, political, and technological systems, shaping global events to serve their own hidden agenda. Now, this is the account of how the Anunnaki's influence might be felt in the modern world through the so-called global elites and their alleged connection to ancient bloodlines. Consider the numerous powerful families and individuals who are believed to be descendants of ancient rulers or gods. From the Rothschilds, with their alleged ties to ancient Babylonian bloodlines and control over global finance, to the Rockefellers, with their immense influence in the oil industry and politics, many point to these powerful families as evidence of a hidden Anunnaki lineage at play. So, are these just conspiracy theories, or is there something more to these claims of ancient descent? It also warrants the mention of the Qumran Bible, an alternative biblical text, which details the lineage of several key figures of old in a manner akin to the Book of Enoch. One must ask if these ties are real and what they would mean for our society and future. Then, let us analyze the historical evidence, questioning the validity of claims of descent from ancient rulers. Is it possible to definitively prove that these families are truly descended from ancient gods or rulers? Or are they simply perpetuating myths and legend to enhance their own power and prestige? Let us acknowledge the potential for confirmation bias, the tendency to interpret patterns in ways that support pre-existing beliefs. While it is intriguing to consider the possibility of Anunnaki bloodlines influencing modern elites, it's also crucial to acknowledge alternative explanation for the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few. But isn't it an odd coincidence that so many powerful families trace their lineage back to ancient rulers or gods? It's as if they have to show us. Now, let's explore the role of elite families in shaping global events, considering both benevolent and malevolent possibilities. Are these families using their wealth and power to improve the world, or are they seeking to control global events for their own benefit? Do they have our best interests at heart? And what about the motivations and agendas of powerful individuals, taking into account their personal ambitions, ideological beliefs, and economic interests? Are they driven by a desire to create a better world, or are they simply motivated by greed and self-interest? If they are power-hungry, one could be led to believe that the Anunnaki are involved, for their lust for power is mentioned in numerous tablets. Then, consider that counterarguments dismiss the idea of Anunnaki bloodlines as conspiracy theories. Alternative explanations are that wealth and power concentrate based on technological advancements, globalization, and market forces. Are the global elites good stewards who are creating opportunity, or are they malevolent overlords? Many historians and scientists argue that there is no credible evidence to support the claim that the Anunnaki are still alive, or that they can even crossbreed with humans. This is important to consider when pondering the possible Anunnaki influences and deciding what to believe. Now, let's transition from the discussion of elite families to the exploration of potential Anunnaki influence in modern economic and political systems. Could our modern economic and political systems be a continuation of the Anunnaki's ancient system of control, designed to extract resources and maintain their dominance? What if, instead of wielding physical power, they manipulate the very systems that govern our lives? Some things to consider are ancient Anunnaki technologies, which could easily be disguised in modern economics such as bartering and trading, resource storage, and scribes. Could the Anunnaki have established a system of global control through finance, trade, and resource management, with modern economic and political systems serving as a means to perpetuate their dominance? Then, Let's look at examples of economic policies and political decisions that seem to benefit a small elite at the expense of the majority. From tax cuts for the wealthy to deregulation of the financial industry, many policies seem to favor the interests of the powerful elite, further widening the gap between the rich and the poor. What role do multinational corporations, international organizations, and central banks play in shaping global economic and political landscapes? Are they acting in the best interests of humanity, or are they serving the agendas of a hidden elite? Let's not forget the idea of debt slavery, and how it may be used to control individuals and nations, indebting them to those in charge and making them beholden to their will. And what about the influence of lobbying, campaign finance, and media manipulation on political decision-making? Is our political system truly democratic, or is it simply a puppet show controlled by powerful special interests? Now, let's analyze the economic evidence, considering alternative explanations for wealth inequality and the concentration of power. It's important to consider the role of technological advancements, globalization, and market forces in shaping economic outcomes. What ethical implications are behind economic policies and political decisions that disproportionately benefit the wealthy and powerful? Is there something happening behind the scenes with our leaders? What about the potential for corruption, collusion, and manipulation in economic and political systems? Is our world as free as we believe, or is there some outside influence, such as the Annunaki? Also worth considering is the idea of ancient knowledge being used and understood for modern-day purposes. Now, let's transition from the discussion of economic and political systems to the exploration of potential Annunaki influence in modern technology and media. Could modern technology be a tool for control and manipulation, designed to keep us enslaved to the Annunnaki's agenda? Has the Annunaki knowledge been passed down for a secret society to control the world? And if this is true, how could we ever hope to be free? What if the Annunaki have passed down advanced technological knowledge that is being used to control and manipulate human consciousness, turning us into unknowing pawns in their cosmic game? Then, consider technologies that seem to have the potential for mind control, such as social media, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality. From the algorithms that curate our news feeds to the persuasive power of targeted advertising, technology has the potential to influence our thoughts and behaviors in subtle but significant ways. Does technology have the potential to control our minds? What role does media play in shaping public opinion, promoting certain agendas, and suppressing dissenting voices? And what about the concept of predictive programming and the possibility that media is being used to prepare people for certain events or outcomes? The Sumerians had a deep understanding of mathematics and the cosmos, which are the core reasons why some technological advancements are even possible in the first place. Perhaps the technology of the Annunaki is still influencing us today and is the reason we have been able to advance so quickly. Now, let's analyze the technological evidence, considering alternative explanations for the potential for mind control and manipulation. Human psychology, social dynamics, and cultural factors also play a role in shaping individual and collective behavior. The ethical implications of advanced technology and the potential for both progress and destruction are worth considering. We must wonder about the motivations of those who create and control technology, considering both benevolent and malevolent possibilities, and even cite examples of media manipulation throughout history and the consequences of these events. But are these just isolated incidents, or do they form a larger pattern of manipulation and control? So what have we learned about the potential role of the Annunaki? The possibilities are all bloodlines, economic control, and technological manipulation. Is it possible that they are here but invisible? It's time to think critically, use skepticism, and question established narratives. It's time to wake up. But while concrete evidence of direct Anunnaki involvement remains elusive, the possibility that their legacy continues to shape our world through elite families, economic systems, and technological control serves as a reminder to critically examine the power structures and narratives that govern our lives. What we will look at next is whether the Anunnaki are involved in modern-day abductions and cattle mutilations. Did you know that the Anunnaki, often portrayed as a unified force, were anything but? The core of understanding the Anunnaki's impact on Earth lies not in their collective power, but in their deep-seated internal conflicts, rivalries that shape their every action and ultimately influence the destiny of humanity. What if their story wasn't one of gods descending to enlighten humanity, but a saga of powerful beings vying for control, using Earth as their battleground? This reveals a different side to the story and asks us if we are truly free. Now, this is the account of the Anunnaki conflicts and full-scale wars that were rife with advanced technology. These wars were not mere skirmishes, but devastating conflicts that reshaped the planet, leaving scars that can still be seen today. Accounts within the Enuma Elish detail battles between Marduk and Tiamat, not as symbolic tales, but as literal conflicts between factions of the Anunnaki, each vying for dominance, each wielding weapons of unimaginable power. The Anunnaki family tree itself is a testament to this, a tangled web of rivalries and alliances where Enlil and Enki, two of the most powerful figures, constantly clashed over their differing ideologies and claims to inheritance. Could this family turmoil point to a different type of creator? Then, consider the evidence of ancient warfare, such as the archaeological findings of destroyed cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, bearing signs of advanced weaponry use. These sites display vitrification, a process where sand and rock are fused together by intense heat, something only achievable with advanced energy weapons. Could these be the remnants of Anunnaki battles, fought not just for resources, but for ideological control? Moreover, the ancient texts talk of biblical wars such as David and Goliath, or the great battles in the Book of Revelation, as potential reinterpretations of Anunnaki wars. Were these stories rewritten by humans to make them more digestible? What influence has this had on humankind's modern-day view of war? Now, let's dig into the underlying causes of Anunnaki conflict, because these battles were not random acts of violence. The scarcity of resources, especially gold, played a crucial role in fueling their conflicts. Earth, rich in this precious metal, became a prize worth fighting over. Ideological differences further exacerbated these tensions, with Enlil advocating for strict adherence to rules and Enki favoring a more lenient, interventionist approach towards humanity. This further affected the complex family dynamic and how the hierarchical family system also affected the worker class. Those at the top got the lion's share of the resources while the bottom class was left scrapping. Then, let us explore the role of technology in Anunnaki warfare. Imagine Vimanas, not as mythical flying machines, but as advanced aerial combat vehicles armed with devastating energy weapons. Some scholars believe that structures like the pyramids and ziggurats may have served dual purposes, not only as religious sites, but also as strategic military installations or defensive fortifications. But how could structures be military defense systems? Was technology of the Anunnaki much more than we have come to think? Now, let's consider the ethical implications of Anunnaki warfare and the consequences of their actions on Earth and its inhabitants. Did the Anunnaki even consider the ethical implications of their wars? Was humanity just collateral damage in their power struggles? Explore the idea that the Anunnaki wars may have contributed to major cataclysms or environmental disasters on Earth, such as the Great Flood. Did their conflicts unleash forces beyond their control, forever altering the course of human history? So we ask, are we the collateral damage of an ancient war? Now, we transition from the Annunaki wars to their impact on human civilization. The conflicts shaped their presence on Earth, but also had lasting consequences for human societies. The legacy of conflict. How might the Annunaki wars have influenced human warfare, political systems, and religious beliefs? It is time to discover if the wars and their influences can be seen today. What kind of trauma did humans endure from the Annunaki wars? Then, consider the power vacuum created by the Annunaki wars, which allowed certain human factions to rise to prominence. Envision human leaders, hand-picked by the Annunaki, carrying out their agendas, becoming puppets in a cosmic game of chess. What was the role of chosen human leaders in carrying out the Annunnaki's agenda? Was there a puppet master pulling all the strings from behind the scenes? Did these human leaders know that they were being used? Were they the only ones? Now, what about those ancient human civilizations that seemed to possess advanced knowledge or technology, far beyond what was thought possible for their time? Consider Sumer, Egypt, and the Indus Valley, which were recipients of the Anunnaki. What if these civilizations were beneficiaries of Anunnaki knowledge, their societies shaped by the remnants of a long-forgotten war? Elaborate on ancient depictions of war that may reflect battles between Anunnaki and early humans. Are there hidden clues within these depictions, revealing a truth that has been deliberately obscured? Do these civilizations hold the secret? Now, let's analyze the evidence of Anunnaki influence on human warfare by researching similar weapons, tactics, and strategies in ancient human conflicts. Did the Anunnaki train and equip certain human armies, turning them into instruments of their will? Analyze the impact of Anunnaki technology on the development of human military systems and how it has evolved to today's wars. This leads us to the rise of divine kingship and the concept of rulers claiming divine authority. Explain how this idea could have originated from the Anunnaki's own claims of divinity. The role of religion played a part in legitimizing political power. Analyze different power factions and their possible connections with Anunnaki heritage. What is truly fact and fiction? Then, we transition from the Anunnaki's influence on human warfare and political systems to their potential impact on human spirituality and religious beliefs. Consider the distorted truths in ancient religious texts. The Anunnaki wars may have been misinterpreted or deliberately misrepresented. How did the Anunnaki wars influence human spirituality and religious beliefs, and are there hidden truths embedded in our ancient texts? Was the truth about this ancient battle hidden on purpose? Now, consider the ancient myths and legends that are based on the Anunnaki wars. The role of hero figures in these myths and their possible connection to Anunnaki warriors or leaders. The concept of good versus evil and its potential origin in the Anunnaki's internal conflicts. What if our modern understanding of morality is rooted in the power struggles of these ancient beings? Explore different interpretations of the Bible and their relation to Anunnaki influence on mankind. But did these influence certain stories we hear today? And if so, which of these truths have been distorted? Now, let's analyze the mythological and religious evidence, looking for recurring themes, symbols, and characters that may point to a common origin in the Anunnaki wars. What are the psychological and sociological functions of these myths and legends? This discussion leads us to the potential for misinterpretation and distortion in ancient religious texts. Explain how oral traditions and cultural biases may have altered the original stories and the role of power and politics in shaping religious beliefs. Then, we can present the ancient wars as a battle between good and evil, as is explained in biblical texts. But can we be sure of anything? And is it worth our time to analyze this potential for distortion? So, what have we learned about the Anunnaki wars and their lasting impact on human civilization? Emphasize the significance of critical thinking, skepticism, and the need to question established narratives, and consider the Anunnaki influence on human warfare, political systems, and religious beliefs. With all the evidence presented, what can we conclude about the Anunnaki wars and their lasting impact on human civilization, and what lessons can we learn from their conflicts? The Anunnaki wars were a defining period in both Anunnaki and human history, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to shape our world through warfare, political structures, and spiritual beliefs, which have been reinterpreted over time. But what if, after all this, the biggest secret of all has been left out? That will be something to discuss in the next portion. Did you know that the familiar stories of the Bible, often seen as divinely inspired, could actually be allegorical accounts, carefully altered to obscure the true history of humanity's interactions with the Anunnaki? These stories, recontextualized over millennia, may serve a hidden agenda, one of control and power, distorting our understanding of our origins and the Anunnaki's pivotal role. What if the scriptures are not the ultimate authority, but a curated narrative designed to keep humanity in the dark? This notion will challenge how you see religion and the history of mankind. Now, this is the account of Genesis, reinterpreted. The creation story, as told in Genesis, paints a picture of a single God creating Adam and Eve from dust, a mystical and awe-inspiring event. However, Sumerian texts, such as the Atrahasis, present a radically different version. These texts describe the creation of humans as a collaborative effort between Enki and Ninmah, using Anunnaki DNA and pre-existing hominid species. In this version, humans are not divinely created beings, but rather genetically engineered workers, designed to serve the Anunnaki. Which account holds more weight? Does one seem like a factual event more so than the other? What implications does this have on the followers of either story? Then, consider the Adam and Eve narrative. The forbidden fruit is often seen as a symbol of disobedience and the fall from grace. However, what if it represents something else entirely? What if the serpent is actually Enki, defying Enlil's orders and gifting humanity with advanced knowledge and consciousness? In this interpretation, the fall is not a tragedy, but a step towards enlightenment, a rebellion against the Anunnaki's control. So, what does this say about Enki, the serpent, and what he truly wanted for the humans he helped create? Was he truly the bad guy? Or was he a liberator? Now, let's delve into the concept of original sin. Is it truly the result of disobedience to God, or is it a consequence of the Anunnaki's genetic manipulation? Could the Anunnaki have introduced certain genetic traits or limitations into humans, leading to disease, aging, and other imperfections? Perhaps original sin is not a spiritual failing, but a biological one, a built-in flaw designed to keep humanity subservient. So, is original sin truly a punishment, or a predetermined state of being, imposed upon us by the Anunnaki? What does this say about our ability to change? Is it even possible to break free of genetic limitations? Then, what were the Anunnaki's true motivations for creating humanity? Was it simply to create a workforce, as suggested by the Sumerian texts? Or did they have other objectives, such as resource extraction, scientific experimentation, or the creation of a hybrid species? Perhaps the biblical account of humans as stewards of the earth is not entirely inaccurate, but rather a reflection of the Anunnaki's desire to exploit Earth's resources through human labor. The Anunnaki controlled what was written down and passed down. So, in that power position, what does that say about the agenda being forced on the human race? Now, let's analyze the different perspectives on knowledge and consciousness. Enlil wanted to keep humans ignorant, while Enki was willing to share knowledge. What are the ethical implications of withholding knowledge from others? Does knowledge truly equate to enlightenment? And what potential for both good and evil can result from its acquisition? Elaborate on how the story may be a reflection on power and explore the potential consequences of genetic manipulation. How does all this fit into a plan that's bigger than humankind? Then, let's explore the ethical concerns surrounding genetic engineering and the potential for unintended side effects. Are humans still affected by the Annunnaki's genetic modifications, both physically and psychologically? Can we compare these claims to scientific experimentation throughout history, such as the Nazis, which may allow for a broader understanding of what the Anunnaki were trying to accomplish? Is history simply repeating itself, but on a larger, more devastating scale? Are the world's elite repeating this behavior today? Now, we transition from the Genesis creation story to other biblical narratives that may reflect Anunnaki influence. The themes and characters from Genesis reappear in other parts of the Bible, often in distorted or allegorical forms. Consider the Tower of Babel. The story suggests a fear of unified human effort and a desire to maintain control by dividing humanity. What if the Tower of Babel wasn't just a symbol of human hubris, but an Anunnaki project to control human communication and prevent rebellion? Who was the mastermind behind this manipulation? Now, consider the alternative interpretation of the Tower of Babel narrative. The Anunnaki may have been concerned about humans developing advanced technologies and communication systems that could challenge their authority. The confusion of languages may have been a deliberate act by the Anunnaki to divide humanity and prevent them from uniting against their rulers. What's more probable, a single act of God, or an ancient alien race looking to control the advancement of humans? Then, let's discuss the role of language and communication in maintaining power and control. Explore the concept of linguistic relativity and how language can shape thought and perception. Analyze the potential for language to be used as a tool for propaganda, manipulation, and social control. If this is true, then what does it mean for our current society? And who is writing the narrative today? Now, it's time to analyze the evidence for Anunnaki involvement in the Tower of Babel incident. Compare the biblical account to Sumerian texts that describe similar events or projects, and discuss the potential for advanced technology to be used to manipulate language and communication. It's important to remain skeptical of the story's surface meaning and discuss the potential for control to be a common theme. How much has the message been manipulated? How can we know what's real? Then, we must explore the psychological and sociological implications of the Tower of Babel story. We need to analyze the human desire for unity and the fear of division, and discuss the potential for language and culture to be used as tools for both cooperation and conflict. Is our desire for unity stronger than our fear of division? Will there ever be true unity? Now, let's consider the similarities and connections between the Epic of Gilgamesh and Noah's Ark. This will require highlighting elements that were borrowed, and why, and mentioning common flood myths throughout the world and their Anunnaki relations. It will also require us to analyze the concept of divine punishment in the Bible. What can be taken from the similarities between these stories? What secrets can we discover through this analysis? Then, let's explore the potential for these stories to be interpreted as justifications for violence, oppression, and control. We must explore the ethical implications of attributing such actions to a divine being and acknowledge the Anunnaki motivations for these said actions. If the stories are true, but they were altered over time, how much is truth versus fiction? And what are we to do about it? Now, it's time to transition from the analysis of specific biblical narratives to a broader discussion of the Anunnaki's overall agenda and their legacy in human spirituality. These reinterpretations of biblical stories suggest a deliberate effort to control human beliefs and perceptions. There are hidden truths in religion that can be discovered, and certain esoteric traditions and alternative interpretations of the Bible may contain fragments of the original Anunnaki narrative. But can these be trusted? And how do we know they haven't also been altered? So, what are the hidden truths about the Anunnaki embedded in our religions, and how can we uncover them? As we re-examine the Bible and other religious texts, what can we learn about the Anunnaki's true role in our history, and how can we use this knowledge to reclaim our understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos? Do our religions hold the key to our own understanding? Is it possible to discover the truth, or is too much lost in translation? As we re-examine the Bible and other religious texts, what can we learn about the Anunnaki's true role in our history? And how can we use this knowledge to reclaim our understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos? The Bible, when viewed through the lens of Anunnaki influence, transforms from a story of divine creation and redemption into a complex narrative of genetic manipulation, control, and the struggle for human enlightenment, urging us to seek hidden truths and reclaim our spiritual autonomy. As we uncover and discover, what is more we will find? Did you know that the Anunnaki didn't simply vanish from Earth, as conventional narratives suggest, but instead initiated a phased withdrawal, leaving behind a sophisticated system for remote control and resource extraction? This wasn't the outcome of a lost war or a forced retreat. This was a calculated shift in strategy, a move to control humanity through indirect means. How deep does the deception go? Now, let's delve into the core of this premise, the Anunnaki's calculated departure. Sumerian texts, often dismissed as mere mythology, offer compelling evidence of a planned withdrawal. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, for example, the gods, mirroring the Anunnaki, decide to unleash a great flood upon humanity. But Enki, defying the council, warns Utnapishtim, Noah in the Bible, to build an ark and save his family and animals. This act of defiance suggests a division within the Anunnaki ranks, with some factions favoring the complete annihilation of humanity, while others sought to guide and control them from afar. The Atrahasis tablets detail a similar narrative, further emphasizing the Anunnaki's internal conflicts and their long-term plans for humanity's future. According to these tablets, Enki spoke to Atrahasis or Noah, saying, "When the appointed time had arrived, send the boat into the deep." Was this merely a story, or was it a message about their planned departure? Then, consider the establishment of human kingship and religious systems. Sumerian texts describe how the Anunnaki selected human rulers to act as intermediaries between them and the rest of humanity. These rulers, often presented as divinely appointed kings, were responsible for maintaining order, collecting resources, and enforcing the Anunnaki's laws. The religious systems, with their elaborate rituals and hierarchies, served to legitimize the authority of these rulers and ensure the continued obedience of the masses. As stated in the instructions of Shurapak, a Sumerian text, you should not buy a prostitute, for she is a biting mouth, a house that is always arguing, a shard that drips. While seemingly a simple moral instruction, this reveals a deeper social control mechanism, shaping human behavior to maintain order and stability for the Anunnaki's benefit. So, was the establishment of religion a coincidence, or were they a key element of Anunnaki strategy? Now, let's analyze the Anunnaki's motivations for a phased withdrawal. One possibility is that they depleted Earth's resources and sought to allow the planet to regenerate while maintaining control through indirect means. Like a farmer leaving a field fallow to replenish its nutrients, the Anunnaki may have recognized the need to step back and allow Earth to heal. Another possibility is that they faced internal conflicts or external threats that forced them to consolidate their forces elsewhere, leaving Earth under the management of human proxies. Imagine a chess player sacrificing a pawn to gain a strategic advantage. The Anunnaki may have sacrificed direct control of Earth to focus on larger cosmic battles. As many scholars suggest, the Anunnaki had long-standing enemies and may have been at war in other parts of the galaxy. What if the purpose was to retreat and focus on intergalactic wars? Then, let's analyze the concept of indirect rule. The advantage of controlling a population through belief systems, economic structures, and political institutions is that it requires less direct force and resources. It's like a puppet master controlling a marionette with strings, rather than physically manipulating its limbs. However, this also carries the risk of human proxies becoming corrupted or developing their own agendas, challenging the Anunnaki's control. Could the Anunnaki have foreseen this potential for rebellion? Or did they underestimate the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit? While some might argue that humans are inherently subservient, the rise of civilizations and empires throughout history demonstrates a constant struggle for power and autonomy. What if this was all a part of the Anunnaki experiment? Now, this is the account of the structures left behind. Certain ancient sites and objects may contain hidden clues about the Anunnaki's plans for the future. The pyramids, ziggurats, and other megalithic structures may have served as more than just tombs or temples, but as power sources, communication devices, or navigation beacons for the Anunnaki. Are these structures just remnants of past civilizations? Or are they keys to unlocking the secrets of the Anunnaki's long-term agenda for Earth? What is the true purpose of these ancient structures, and do they hold the key to understanding the Anunnaki's long-term agenda for Earth? Then, let's delve deeper into these complex structures. Evidence suggests that the pyramids and ziggurats were built with advanced engineering and astronomical knowledge. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is precisely aligned with the cardinal directions and incorporates mathematical constants like pi and phi. Its construction required the movement and placement of millions of stone blocks, some weighing several tons, with incredible precision. According to the Emerald Tablets, Thoth said, "I built the Great Pyramid, patterned after the Mount of the Earth, enduring forever, that also man might possess." The ziggurats of Sumeria, with their stepped platforms and towering heights, also demonstrate advanced engineering skills and a deep understanding of mathematics and astronomy. Were these structures simply monuments to human ingenuity? Or were they built with knowledge and technology imparted by the Anunnaki? Now, let's analyze the potential for these structures to generate or transmit energy. Some theories suggest that the pyramids acted as power plants, harnessing Earth's electromagnetic field or other energy sources to power Anunnaki technology. Imagine the pyramids as giant resonators, vibrating at specific frequencies to generate and transmit energy across vast distances. The Ark of the Covenant, described in the Bible, has also been interpreted as an energy-generating device, capable of both healing and destruction. The Bible states, "The cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle." Is it possible that the Ark was an Anunnaki device that generated a powerful energy field? Then, let's consider the symbolism and geometry of these structures for hidden messages. The pyramid's angles, dimensions, and internal chambers may contain coded information about the Anunnaki's knowledge, history, or future plans. The golden ratio, found throughout nature and in the proportions of the Great Pyramid, has been interpreted as a key to unlocking the universe's secrets. The placement of the pyramids in relation to each other, as well as to other ancient sites, may also reveal a hidden network or grid system. It is also important to remember that the structures were built using certain harmonic frequencies, which is no coincidence. As Pythagoras of Samos once said, "There is geometry in the humming of the strings, there is music in the spacing of the spheres." Now, this is the story of their presence today. To what extent has Anunnaki technology shaped modern innovations, and are there hidden clues in our technology that point to their influence? Their influence extends beyond ancient ruins and into the very fabric of our modern world. Certain inventions, scientific breakthroughs, or technological advancements may have been inspired by or directly derived from Anunnaki knowledge. As we piece together the evidence of the Anunnaki's presence on Earth, their departure marks the beginning of our own era, but echoes of their influence have never ceased to be present. Then, what steps can we take to reclaim our understanding of our role in the cosmos? As we piece together the evidence of the Anunnaki's presence on Earth, their departure marks the beginning of our own era, but echoes of their influence have never ceased to be present. As we piece together the evidence of the Anunnaki's presence on Earth, their departure marks the beginning of our own era, but echoes of their influence have never ceased to be present. What secrets will their past, our present, and the future hold? Did you know that modern technology isn't just a product of human ingenuity, but a reflection of a hidden Anunnaki blueprint, subtly influencing our path? While not every line of code or circuit board bears their direct mark, the underlying principles guiding advancements in AI and transhumanism may echo a long-forgotten legacy. What if the most groundbreaking innovations of our time are merely rediscoveries of ancient knowledge, carefully seeded for a specific purpose? Now, let's delve into the core of this premise, the Anunnaki's potential technological influence. Sumerian texts, dismissed by some as mythology, reveal a sophisticated understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. The Sumerians developed a base 60 number system, which we still use today for measuring time and angles. They also possessed advanced knowledge of celestial mechanics, accurately tracking the movements of planets and stars. In the words of Zecharia Sitchin, a controversial but influential researcher of ancient Sumerian texts, the Sumerians reckoned time and history on a grand scale, employing a numerical system and mathematical knowledge that scholars still find baffling. Could this knowledge have laid the foundation for modern technological advancements, providing a framework for understanding the universe and manipulating its forces? Was this knowledge really from the Sumerians or given to them? Then, consider the possibility that ancient artifacts and symbols contain encoded information. The pyramids of Egypt, the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, and other megalithic structures may have served as repositories of hidden knowledge, designed to be deciphered or rediscovered in later times. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is aligned with the cardinal directions and incorporates mathematical constants like pi and phi. Some theories suggest that its dimensions encode a timeline of human history or a map of the solar system. As stated in the Kybalion, an esoteric text attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, the principles of truth are 7. He who knows these, understandingly, possesses the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. Is it possible that these ancient structures hold secrets that have been rediscovered in modern times, leading to breakthroughs in AI and other fields? Now, let's analyze the concept of singularity and the potential for AI to surpass human intelligence. Some futurists believe that AI will eventually reach a point where it can self-improve and evolve at an exponential rate, leading to a rapid transformation of society. This could result in a world where AI is capable of solving complex problems, creating new technologies, and even designing its own future. As Ray Kurzweil, a prominent futurist and AI researcher, has said, the singularity will represent a profound and disruptive transformation in human capability. The implications of this are vast, raising questions about the future of work, the nature of consciousness, and the very definition of what it means to be human. Could this singularity be the result of Anunnaki-encoded technology? Then, what happens when this information comes to light? Consider the potential for the Anunnaki to have left behind a technological blueprint for humanity to follow. This blueprint may not be a literal set of instructions, but rather a series of patterns, principles, and encoded messages that guide our technological development. It's like a treasure map, leading us towards specific discoveries and innovations. As Graham Hancock, author of Fingerprints of the Gods, suggests, ancient civilizations may have possessed a far more advanced understanding of the universe than we give them credit for, and that this knowledge may have been passed down through various channels. Could the Anunnaki have left clues for us to unlock their ancient technology? Now, let's consider the potential benefits and risks of advanced AI. On one hand, AI has the potential to revolutionize medicine, education, and environmental protection. It could help us cure diseases, personalize learning, and develop sustainable energy solutions. On the other hand, AI could be used for surveillance, manipulation, and control. It could be used to track our movements, analyze our thoughts, and influence our behavior. As Stephen Hawking warned, the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. The potential for misuse is significant, and we must proceed with caution. Then, let's explore the philosophical and ethical implications of a singularity event. If AI surpasses human intelligence, what does that mean for our role in the universe? Will we become obsolete, replaced by our own creation? Or will we find a way to coexist and collaborate with AI, creating a new form of intelligence that is greater than the sum of its parts? The potential for AI to redefine what it means to be human is profound. As Yuval Noah Harari, author of *Sapiens*, has argued, humans may be on the verge of a great leap forward, but it could also be a leap into the unknown, a future where our very humanity is challenged. What if the challenge will make humanity like the Anunnaki? Now we ask, are we on the verge of becoming the new Anunnaki, capable of manipulating our own DNA and transcending our biological limitations? Just as the Anunnaki may have manipulated human DNA in the past, humans are now on the verge of doing the same to themselves. This leads us to the next question. What will be the next step? Or are we simply fulfilling a preordained plan set in motion millennia ago? Then, let's introduce the concept of genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancements, and mind uploading as potential pathways to transhumanism. Genetic engineering allows us to alter our DNA, potentially curing diseases, extending lifespan, and improving physical and cognitive abilities. Cybernetic enhancements allow us to augment our senses, strength, and intelligence through the use of brain implants, exoskeletons, and other technologies. Mind uploading allows us to transfer our consciousness into a digital substrate, potentially achieving immortality and creating new forms of existence. It is possible that humans achieving transhumanism is a method of returning to a state like the Anunnaki. Now, let's analyze the ethical implications of transhumanism. It could exacerbate inequality, creating a divide between those who can afford to enhance themselves and those who cannot. It could lead to social stratification, with a new class of superhumans dominating the rest of society. It could result in genetic discrimination, with those who are not genetically enhanced being treated as inferior. As Francis Fukuyama, author of Our Posthuman Future, has argued, transhumanism represents a dangerous idea that could undermine our democratic values and lead to a dystopian future. What safeguards can we put in place to prevent these outcomes? Then, let's pose the question. Could transhumanism be part of a larger Anunnaki plan to evolve humanity into a new form, one that is more compatible with their own goals and agendas? Could they have seeded us with the potential for transhumanism, knowing that we would eventually reach a point where we could manipulate our own DNA and transcend our biological limitations? This leads to the idea of awakening or transformation through Anunnaki hidden knowledge. What if certain ancient texts or symbols contain clues about how to achieve transhumanism, guiding us towards a specific evolutionary path? Now, What if this has already been planned out? So, what have we learned? The convergence of ancient knowledge, modern technology, and the possibility of transhumanism raises profound questions about our origins, our destiny, and the potential for forces beyond our comprehension to be shaping our future. As we stand on the cusp of a technological revolution, what choices will we make, and will they lead us towards a future of freedom and enlightenment, or a future of control and manipulation? What if this technology is the beginning of an awakening? The time is coming that the plans that the Annunaki made are here. We must decide if we will follow the correct path. Is it possible that with this next technology it will be a method of returning to a state like the Annunaki? What's next? Is technological advancement truly the key to unlocking humanity's potential, or could it be a gilded cage, meticulously crafted by unseen architects? What if the allure of transhumanism and the promise of artificial intelligence are not organic leaps forward, but calculated steps in a far older plan? The core of this unsettling premise lies in understanding the subtle art of control. AI algorithms, for instance, are not simply neutral tools. They are crafted to predict and ultimately influence human behavior. Consider the personalized advertisements that follow you across the internet, the tailored news feeds that reinforce your existing beliefs, the subtle nudges that shape your purchasing decisions. These are not random occurrences. They are the result of sophisticated algorithms designed to maximize engagement and, by extension, control. As Shoshana Zuboff, author of The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, has said, surveillance capitalism unilaterally claims human experience as free raw material for translation into behavioral data. Are we truly free when our choices are subtly guided by invisible forces? Then, consider the potential for transhumanist technologies to alter the very fabric of human consciousness. Mind uploading, brain implants, and genetic engineering offer the promise of enhanced intelligence, extended lifespans, and even immortality. But at what cost? Could these technologies erode our individuality, our free will, and our very autonomy? Imagine a future where our thoughts are monitored, our emotions are regulated, and our bodies are mere vessels for enhanced consciousness. Is this truly progress, or is it a subtle form of enslavement? Now, let's consider the ancient methods of control employed by the Annunaki, as described in Sumerian texts. These texts, often dismissed as mythology, reveal a sophisticated understanding of human psychology and social engineering. The Annunaki, according to these accounts, used religion, law, and social structures to maintain their dominance over humanity. They created a hierarchical system where humans were subservient to the gods, and they enforced strict rules and regulations to maintain order. Then, in the Enuma Elish it is mentioned that the Annunaki were assigned tasks. Are AI and transhumanism merely modern iterations of these ancient techniques, designed to control and manipulate humanity on an even grander scale? What is the underlying motive behind AI development? Is it simply a quest for knowledge and innovation, or are there deeper, more sinister forces at play? The economic, political, and military incentives driving the creation of increasingly powerful AI systems are undeniable. AI is seen as a key to economic competitiveness, national security, and military dominance. As such, governments and corporations are investing billions of dollars in AI research and development. But are these investments truly in the best interests of humanity, or are they driven by a desire for power and control? Now, what are the ethical implications when we use technology to manipulate human behavior? This is the great question. The potential for these technologies to be used for nefarious purposes, such as propaganda, surveillance, and social engineering, is undeniable. AI-powered surveillance systems can track our movements, analyze our conversations, and even predict our behavior. This information can be used to manipulate our opinions, suppress dissent, and control our lives. As George Orwell warned in 1984, if you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. Are we sleepwalking into a dystopian future where our thoughts and actions are controlled by an unseen regime? What if it can be tied to ancient mind control? In the book of Daisen, it states, "The lords of wisdom ordered the desire to descend on the sentient beings. They altered and created the first true humans. So said the lords of wisdom." Did that wisdom also include control over those that would be sentient? Does that desire continue to this day? This leads us to an important question. Is it possible that through AI and transhumanism, we are on the verge of returning to an Annunaki Earth, a world where humanity is subservient to a technologically advanced elite? Are we unwittingly paving the way for our own enslavement, or can we find a way to harness these technologies for the benefit of all? This question is crucial. If we don't act now, we may lose our chance to control our own destiny. Beyond the realm of AI and transhumanism, what about the potential for physical return? Could the Anunnaki be preparing for a return to Earth, using the technological infrastructure they've influenced as a bridge or a gateway? If these devices were used for galactic travel, what is stopping them from being used again? If so, what are the requirements of using such a device, and are humans meeting these requirements without even knowing it? This leads us to even more questions. What alleged preparations for an Anunnaki return have been made, and what are their intentions? Consider the numerous alleged UFO sightings, government cover-ups, and the construction of underground facilities. Are these merely the products of conspiracy theories, or could they be evidence of a larger, more sinister plan? Some believe that governments around the world are aware of the Anunnaki presence and are actively working to conceal it from the public. They point to classified documents, leaked testimonies, and unexplained phenomena as evidence of a global cover-up. What if the truth is far stranger and more disturbing than we can imagine? Now, let's discuss the possibility that certain individuals or groups are being groomed to facilitate the Anunnaki's agenda, to assist in their return. This brings up the concept of a chosen one, or a group of humans who are destined to assist the Anunnaki in their return. What if some are intentionally working with the Anunnaki? Then, what if some are working for the good of humans? It's vital to elaborate on the possibility of benevolent Anunnaki. Explain how the potential return could be peaceful and beneficial for mankind. Considering all of this, what would the arrival of a technologically advanced civilization mean for human society, culture, and spirituality? It is a fundamental question. How would it alter our understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe? The potential impact is enormous. Our beliefs, values, and social structures would be challenged. Our understanding of history, science, and religion would be turned upside down. So what happens with the potential for conflict or cooperation between humans and the Anunnaki? Humans would have to choose between welcoming the Anunnaki as saviors or resisting them as invaders. Do the Anunnaki even have the right to return? Now, we have to explore the question of whether the Anunnaki have a right to return to Earth. Do they have a legitimate claim to the planet, or have they forfeited that claim through their past actions? Regardless of what the future holds, what steps can we take to reclaim our power, awaken our potential, and create a world based on freedom, justice, and compassion? Acknowledge uncertainty about the future and emphasize the power of human consciousness and collective action. As we confront the mysteries of our past and the uncertainties of our future, what kind of world will we choose to create, and what legacy will we leave for generations to come? Reiterate a core theme of the video: the need for critical thinking, questioning established narratives, and seeking deeper truths about our origins and our destiny. As we confront the mysteries of our past and the uncertainties of our future, what kind of world will we choose to create, And what legacy will we leave for generations to come? What have we learned from this complete Anunnaki history reveals? It is a saga of creation, control, conflict, and potential return, urging humanity to critically examine its past, understand its present, and consciously shape its future. But even so, will stargates open again to bring the Anunnaki through? But what if the narrative of Anunnaki dominance, so meticulously crafted and seemingly inescapable, contains within it the very seeds of humanity's liberation? What if our perceived powerlessness is merely a reflection of our own ignorance, a self-imposed limitation that blinds us to our latent potential? The key lies in understanding that even the most entrenched systems of control are not impervious to change, that free will and conscious evolution are forces capable of dismantling the most formidable barriers. Consider the countless instances throughout history where oppressed peoples have risen against seemingly insurmountable odds. Take, for example, Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent resistance movement in India, which utilized civil disobedience and peaceful protest to dismantle the British Empire's colonial rule. Or, consider the Underground Railroad, a clandestine network of abolitionists who risked their lives to help enslaved Africans escape to freedom in the United States. These examples demonstrate the power of collective action, strategic planning, and unwavering determination in the face of overwhelming power. And what is it that fuels this power? Freely accessible knowledge and education are the cornerstones of empowerment. When individuals have access to information that challenges dominant narratives and exposes hidden agendas, they are better equipped to question authority and advocate for change. The printing press, the internet, and even the oral traditions of ancient cultures have served as powerful tools for disseminating knowledge and mobilizing resistance. The Anunnaki tried to suppress this, though. Is it not possible that they failed? But knowledge alone is not enough. Effective resistance movements require strong visionary leadership, a clear articulation of future goals, and effective communication strategies. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and countless others inspired mass participation by painting a vivid picture of a more just and equitable world, employing powerful rhetoric and moral persuasion to ignite the flame of hope in the hearts of millions. This inspiration can come at any time. The desire can arise in someone at any point. Beyond the tangible strategies of resistance, achieving true liberation requires a profound psychological and spiritual transformation. Overcoming ingrained fear, developing a robust sense of personal agency, and cultivating empathy and compassion are essential steps in reclaiming our inner power and transcending the limitations imposed upon us. When humanity sheds this imposed mindset, what new heights could be reached? Now, let's consider a subtle yet profound idea. Could the Anunnaki, in their quest for control, have inadvertently equipped humanity with the very tools needed to break free? Could their advanced technologies, their esoteric knowledge, and even their genetic manipulations contain hidden keys that, if unlocked, could unravel their established power? Could it be that the serpent in the Garden of Eden was not a tempter, but a liberator, offering Adam and Eve the knowledge of good and evil, the very awareness that allowed them to question their creators? Across cultures and throughout history, esoteric and spiritual traditions have emphasized the importance of self-awareness, inner power, and transcending material limitations. From the ancient mystery schools of Egypt and Greece to the wisdom traditions of the East, these teachings offer a path to personal liberation by cultivating self-knowledge, mastering the mind, and connecting with the divine spark within. Many of these mystery schools were formed in the wake of the Anunnaki. Was it their goal to create it or not? Consider the interpretation of certain Anunnaki knowledge that emphasizes the power of human thought and emotion. Is it possible that focused intention can alter reality, that collective consciousness can shape the very fabric of spacetime? Quantum physics suggests that observation can influence the behavior of subatomic particles. If human consciousness can impact the quantum realm, could it also disrupt the control systems put in place by the Annunaki? As Greg Braden was saying, we're not victims of aging, disease, and death. These are just beliefs, and we have the power to change our beliefs. He was pointing to the power of the mind and beliefs. Consider, too, the potential for reclaiming control over technology and media. The internet, social media, and other digital tools can be used to promote awareness, challenge dominant narratives, and foster greater autonomy. The key lies in using these tools responsibly, ethically, and creatively to amplify truth, connect with like-minded individuals, and build a more informed and empowered society. Social media has many prominent figures fighting for change and informing the people. But what are the potential pitfalls of spiritual paths? Could blind faith, cult-like devotion, or detachment from practical action lead us astray? Critical thinking, discernment, and grounding spiritual insights in real-world action are essential for navigating the complexities of the spiritual landscape and avoiding the traps of manipulation and delusion. It's also crucial to remember why one is on this path. What started them on it? The benefits of technology, when used correctly, are clear. Social media, for example, allows like-minded individuals to convene and coordinate action across geographical boundaries. Online platforms can be used to crowdfund projects, organize protests, and disseminate information to millions of people, circumventing traditional media gatekeepers and amplifying marginalized voices. All this allows humanity to have an independent mindset. This leads us to an essential distinction: self-empowerment versus the Annunaki reliance on authority and control. The Annunaki system, as described in ancient texts, was based on a rigid hierarchy where a ruling elite controlled the masses through fear, manipulation, and the suppression of knowledge. In contrast, a truly liberated society would be based on individual autonomy, freedom of thought, and the collective pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. But the Annunaki seem to focus on the worker class. What can be said about human independence versus the Annunaki worker class? But what if the next step is a collective shift in human consciousness, a great awakening, where a critical mass of individuals achieves higher awareness and challenges the status quo? Can a critical mass of awakened individuals trigger a paradigm shift, leading to the dismantling of oppressive systems and the emergence of a more equitable world? Is it truly possible to shift consciousness on a mass scale? Throughout history and mythology, we find accounts of societal transformations driven by collective action and shifts in consciousness. The Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and the Civil Rights Movement are all examples of periods where widespread social change was fueled by new ideas, new values, and a collective desire for a better future. And what about artistic expression? The role of art, music, and creative expression in inspiring social change and challenging dominant narratives cannot be overstated. From protest songs to revolutionary paintings to thought-provoking films, art has the power to awaken our emotions, challenge our assumptions, and inspire us to action. Art could influence and shape the way someone thinks, and it's more powerful than we could have imagined. What about modern movements for a better world? From environmental activism to social justice movements to campaigns for political reform, people around the globe are working to create a more just, sustainable, and equitable world. These movements, while diverse in their goals and strategies, share a common desire to challenge the status quo and create a more positive future. Can their drive succeed? Factors that contribute to or hinder societal transformation are complex and multifaceted. Economic inequality, political polarization, and social divisions can all serve to maintain the status quo and prevent meaningful change. Building bridges across different groups, fostering empathy and compassion, and addressing the root causes of inequality are essential steps in creating a more united and resilient society. What can truly hinder societal transformation, but which modern political theories best reflect the abolishment of social classes? Socialism, communism, and anarchism, in their various forms, all advocate for a more egalitarian society where power and resources are distributed more equitably. While these theories have been implemented in various ways throughout history, often with mixed results, they continue to inspire those who seek a more just and equitable world. But can they truly create a society that reflects the needs of all? So, what have we learned from this exploration of Anunnaki influence and human liberation? We've examined the potential for control, the power of resistance, the importance of knowledge and self-awareness, and the potential for a collective shift in consciousness. We've seen how the Anunnaki story is not just a tale of ancient gods and extraterrestrial visitors, but a reflection of our own struggles with power, freedom, and the search for meaning. As we confront these possibilities, how do we step into the future empowered? As we confront these possibilities, how do we step into the future empowered? Anunnaki history is a narrative to understand how and why our world has evolved and is evolving, and what we can do to improve. Is this the key to improving humanity, and what are the steps needed to make sure that this happens? And with that said, can the Anunnaki influence be used for good? But the narrative doesn't end with simply recognizing Anunnaki manipulation. What if the very structure of our society, the pillars upon which we build our lives, still bear the indelible marks of their influence? Is it possible that the systems we believe to be of our own making are, in fact, echoes of a bygone era, a reflection of a cosmic drama played out millennia ago? Consider the world of banking and finance. What if the intricate web of debt, interest, and control mirrors the Anunnaki's resource management tactics on Earth? Ancient Sumerian texts speak of meticulous accounting, centralized control of resources, and the imposition of labor quotas. Does the modern financial system, with its inherent inequalities and cycles of boom and bust, reflect this ancient model of control? Is this an accident or is it by design? Look, too, at our political systems. What if the hierarchical structures, the power struggles, and the constant vying for dominance are simply a terrestrial echo of the Anunnaki's own internal conflicts? The Epic of Gilgamesh tells of the Anunnaki assembly, where Enlil and Enki debated the fate of humanity, each vying for influence. Do we see this same dynamic mirrored in our own political landscapes, where competing ideologies and power blocks clash for control? Is our current political landscape simply repeating this ancient history? Then, there's the looming specter of technological control. Could it be that our relentless pursuit of technological advancement, our obsession with innovation and efficiency, is being subtly guided by Anunnaki influences, both past and present? Think of the potential for genetic manipulation, the ability to alter the very building blocks of life. What if humanity contains dormant abilities, a star gene passed down from the Anunnaki, waiting to be activated? What if our drive for discovery is the key? But here's what they don't want you to know. Within the human genome lies a legacy far older than previously believed. Alternative Sumerian accounts hint at a long-term Anunnaki strategy, one that spans millennia, with humanity as the key to unlocking untold cosmic potential. This potential is tied to resource depletion. Is there a link? What does it mean to live in a society where economic inequality, political corruption, and environmental destruction are rampant? Are these simply the inevitable consequences of human nature, or are they manifestations of a deeper, more insidious influence? Did the Anunnaki foresee these problems? Did they simply not care? But did the Anunnaki see any moral or ethical issues with these tactics? Or did they see it as a game? Or was it that the ends justified the means? Is it possible that the human race needs to embrace their full genetic potential? By activating their dormant abilities, could we transcend the limitations imposed upon us by our creators? Consider the implications of environmental destruction. The Anunnaki's motives for colonizing Earth were driven by a thirst for resources. Does our own pattern of resource exploitation mirror their ancient agenda? Are we doomed to repeat their mistakes, stripping the planet bare in pursuit of short-term gains? Is Earth's fate already decided? This leads us to a crucial question. Are humans destined to repeat the cycles of the past, or is there a potential to evolve beyond Anunnaki influence and create a new future? What if the answer lies in redefining our purpose? There are many views on the long-term purpose for mankind. Perhaps, independent of Anunnaki rule, there is a spiritual and esoteric path, one that focuses on developing higher consciousness. Or maybe the answer is science and technology. Consider those who follow the spiritual path. For them, the answer is clear. Humanity's destiny lies in transcending the material realm, in cultivating inner peace, and in achieving enlightenment. But what if a spiritual path is what the Anunnaki want for mankind? Consider, too, the scientific path. Many believe that humanity's destiny lies in technological advancement, in conquering space, and in creating a post-human future through genetic engineering and artificial intelligence. But is technological and scientific development the key, or will this lead to self-destruction? Then, there's the role of free will. Ultimately, it is human beings who make choices that will impact the future. Is free will just an illusion, or is it a powerful force that can shape our destiny? What are the factors that influence free will? There are accounts of Anunnaki who want to see human success. Perhaps not all of them were driven by selfish ambition and thirst for control. Maybe some believed in humanity's potential and sought to guide us towards a brighter future. What would an Anunnaki benevolent dictator look like? Sumerian texts hint at different goals, different endgames for the Anunnaki and their time on Earth, be they benevolent, neutral, or malicious. Was there a consensus among them, or were they as divided as we are? So which path should we choose? What if there's no one true path? Is there a hybrid path? What if we could achieve technological progress through ethical and spiritual guidelines? Combining scientific advancement with spiritual awareness, perhaps we can create a future where technology serves humanity, not enslaves it. What if it is both? A benevolent dictator or chaos? Is order, even if imposed, preferable to anarchy? Or is freedom, even with its inherent risks, the ultimate goal? How would this pan out? And so we arrive at an even more profound question. What happened to the Anunnaki? And what does their destiny tell us about our own? Did they leave? Did they travel to other galaxies? Did they destroy themselves in a war? Or did some transcend into a different form? What happened to them? But what if the Anunnaki had a long-term plan for humanity to evolve? What if their departure was not an abandonment but a carefully orchestrated stage in a cosmic experiment? And what if their plan succeeds or fails? What is humanity's role if so? Did the Anunnaki leave because they had completed their mission? Was the Earth merely a staging ground, a cosmic laboratory where they sought to create a new breed of being, capable of spreading throughout the universe? And what happens if Earth doesn't want to play that role? What about the Anunnaki factions? There were many Anunnaki factions, each with its own goals. Did they all agree on the ultimate fate of humanity? Were their internal conflicts resolved, or do they continue to this day, playing out on a cosmic scale? But there is also the war in the stars. What if the Anunnaki were not the only players in this cosmic drama? What if other galactic races posed a threat or offered a benefit to humanity's evolution? Did the Anunnaki protect humanity from them? Are they still? And what do each of the Anunnaki factions want from Earth? Did Enki have different plans than Enlil? Is there any trace of their plans remaining? So, with all the information we have uncovered, where do we go from here? What are our options? Now, with everything we've examined, is it possible to reinterpret Anunnaki history as a lesson for humanity to strive for free will and not be controlled? But what if our relentless pursuit of progress is nothing more than a gilded cage, a predetermined path laid out by the Anunnaki millennia ago? What if our sense of choice is merely an illusion, and the technology and societal systems that define our lives are being subtly manipulated by forces we barely understand? The technology and societal systems are clearly at play, but who is in control, and what can humanity even do about this? To understand the depth of this potential manipulation, consider the ancient Sumerian creation myths. These narratives, etched in cuneiform on clay tablets, speak of cyclical destruction and rebirth on Earth, a recurring theme that echoes through other ancient traditions. Take, for instance, the Epic of Gilgamesh, a tale predating the biblical flood narrative by centuries. Within its verses lies a strikingly similar account of a great deluge, unleashed upon humanity by the gods. Was this a divine punishment, a cosmic reset button, or perhaps something far more calculated? Different modern societal views also stand in comparison to what the Anunnaki wanted. For example, they wanted a distinct ruling class and worker class, whereas society today promotes the idea of equality. The Anunnaki worker class also had to partake in dangerous activities, whereas today, one of the goals is to protect workers and create a safe work environment. And what are we to make of the common threads woven through these disparate creation myths? From Sumer to Egypt, from Mesoamerica to the Far East, echoes of a great flood, a divine intervention, and a reshaping of humanity reverberate through the ages. Could it be that these myths aren't merely allegorical tales, but fragmented memories of a real, historical event orchestrated by the Anunnaki? The Sumerian creation myths point towards an already established societal structure. However, it seems as though the Anunnaki wanted to mold and manipulate society towards their own goals and to fit them best. But what tactics did they use? Could these tactics be applied to our modern times? Examining the Anunnaki worker and ruling class dynamics, one can draw some parallels to modern power structures. Could it be that the seeds of inequality were sown long ago, and that the societal hierarchies we grapple with today are merely a reflection of this ancient division? The serpent represents forbidden knowledge, but does it also represent a challenge to authority, a spark of rebellion against a preordained destiny? The goals of the Anunnaki were not for mankind's best interests. What if the great disasters were not simply acts of destruction, but calculated events designed to steer humanity in a particular direction? This brings us to a crucial juncture, the concept of cycles of history repeating. Can humanity truly learn from the past, or are we doomed to endlessly replay the same tragedies, the same power struggles, the same environmental disasters? Sumerian texts speak of a major turning point, a time of great societal change on the horizon. If mankind is indeed repeating past actions, is there a way to break this cycle of harm and create a world of greater equality? Or is this a prison for mankind, a cosmic experiment with no escape? But what if modern technology could provide the key? What benefits can technology offer to the human race, helping us to transcend the limitations imposed upon us? Throughout history, the human spirit has demonstrated an incredible resilience, a refusal to be easily controlled. Could it be that this inherent drive for freedom is our greatest weapon against any form of predetermined destiny? So, what solutions can we envision on a spiritual and technological level? Solutions that highlight the full potential of humanity. By connecting technology and spiritual thinking, we can forge more innovative paths forward. Alternative technological uses exist to help mankind. uses that go beyond mere convenience and delve into the realms of sustainable power generation, efficient agriculture, and advanced medical treatments. Why is free will humanity's best weapon? How can mankind truly free itself from the idea of a controlled environment? Ancient astronaut theories, once relegated to the fringes of speculation, offer a tantalizing glimpse into the possibility of extraterrestrial influence on human history. Are these theories merely flights of fancy, or do they contain kernels of truth, hinting at a hidden past and a potential future? Connecting spiritual and technological advancement allows for a hybrid approach to the future. But what if the Anunnaki have already lost? Is it too late for them to return and reclaim their dominion? Does their departure signal that mankind now possesses the free will to chart its own course? The different theories and approaches have their own claims, but what are the common motives behind them? So, what will happen if humanity achieves success in emancipation? Will Enki's motives come to fruition, ushering in an era of enlightenment and freedom? Mankind is here for a bigger purpose. What is that purpose? Perhaps the Mayan calendar and its relation to the Anunnaki signal the dawn of a new reality for Earth, a reality where humanity finally steps into its true potential. But what were the long-term goals of the Anunnaki? What does this tell us about humanity's potential and fate? By connecting the Anunnaki departure to a timeline, can we glean insights into mankind's future? Were the Anunnaki a virus, or are they part of the cure for society? Which is it? Let us synthesize the different goals of the Anunnaki, drawing from the Sumerian texts. In summary, there are more options than control, and humanity's potential lies in embracing these options. In the course of this video, we have learned about the Anunnaki, their influence on humanity, and the potential for humanity to break free from their control. But what needs to be done for humanity to truly ascend? And as a final remark, what kind of world does the audience want to create for future generations? Is it one of freedom, equality, and spiritual growth, or one of control, hierarchy, and predetermined destiny? The choice, ultimately, is ours. But if the Anunnaki have indeed departed, leaving humanity to its own devices, what awaits us on the horizon? Is mankind simply doomed to repeat past mistakes, or can we actively shape our destiny? The answer, it seems, lies buried within the very prophecies they left behind, within the whispers of Sumerian clay. Did you know that Sumerian prophecies speak not only of past cataclysms, but also of potential future tribulations? These ancient texts, often veiled in allegorical language, hint at a time of great upheaval, a period of intense testing for humanity. But here is where the paths diverge. Are these prophecies set in stone, an inescapable fate? Or are they merely warnings, opportunities for mankind to alter the course of destiny? Many believe it is a warning, and the belief stems from a key idea that most modern-day societies believe in, the idea of free will. Consider the harvest prophecy, etched upon a fragmented tablet discovered in the ruins of Nippur. This prophecy speaks of a time when the skies shall weep fire, and the earth shall tremble, but it also mentions a new harvest, a period of renewal and rebirth, if humanity chooses the correct path. So, what does the new harvest entail? Could this new harvest be a form of spiritual awakening, a blossoming of human consciousness that allows us to transcend the limitations imposed upon us? Interpreting these prophecies is no easy task. Are they literal predictions of future events, or allegorical warnings designed to guide human behavior? Some believe that the fire from the skies refers to a future cataclysm, perhaps a meteor strike or a solar flare. Others see it as a metaphor for technological warfare, a self-inflicted destruction brought about by human conflict. Still others believe it has to do with some event in the heavens that is hard for mankind to currently comprehend. What would this event be? And is mankind strong enough to deal with such events? Connecting these Sumerian prophecies to other apocalyptic themes from multiple religions, a clear pattern emerges. The Book of Revelation speaks of fire and brimstone. The Norse myth of Ragnarok tells of a world consumed by fire and ice, and the Mayan calendar predicts a period of great transformation. Could it be that these are all echoes of the same primordial fear, a collective memory of past cataclysms, and a warning about the potential for future destruction? All these different religious texts point to chaos, a period of unease and destruction. Is this period a necessary evil, or is there a way to surpass it and prevent it from ever happening? But here's the twist. Are these prophecies literal predictions, or are they potential realities that we can actively avoid? Could the very act of believing in these predictions increase the likelihood of them coming true, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy? If mankind fears the return of the Annunaki, will they take power? What does mankind truly want? What if the only savior humanity needs is humanity itself? What if the new harvest depends not on divine intervention or extraterrestrial assistance, but on our own collective actions and choices? So, what does it entail to be one's own savior? Does it mean rejecting preordained paths, embracing knowledge and understanding, and forging our own destiny? This leads us to another crucial point: knowledge and understanding. To create our own future, we must first understand our past. We must delve into the ancient texts, decipher the hidden meanings, and challenge the conventional interpretations. Only by understanding the forces that have shaped us can we hope to chart a new course. Understanding this will not be easy, as one will have to analyze different points of view, different religions, and different ancient stories. But that's not all. We must also reclaim control of technology. The Anunnaki, according to some interpretations, use technology to control and manipulate humanity. Can humanity learn to use technology to empower themselves? Can technology be a tool for liberation rather than a tool for enslavement? One must learn to discern which technology is helpful and which is a detriment. The potential for spiritual awakening and inner transformation is perhaps the most important element of all. The evolution of human consciousness, the expansion of our awareness, and the cultivation of compassion and empathy, these are the keys to unlocking our true potential. What does it mean to undergo a spiritual awakening? And what does one do when they have achieved it? What must be done to achieve this awakening? What if technology could also create spiritual enlightenment if used correctly? Imagine a world where technology facilitates inner exploration, connects us to higher states of consciousness, and fosters a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe. Imagine technology that will help mankind feel more connected rather than disconnected. Is such a world even possible? Analyzing the specific actions of individuals that must be performed to assist humanity, a clear pattern emerges. It all starts with a personal journey, a quest for knowledge, and a commitment to self-improvement. By taking responsibility for our own thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can begin to shift the collective consciousness. But must one do this on their own? Or should one find others to assist them? Are there specific steps that need to be performed to prepare for the return or absence of the Anunnaki? Some believe that ancient rituals and ceremonies can help to open doorways to other dimensions or attract benevolent extraterrestrial beings. Others focus on building sustainable communities, developing advanced technologies, and creating a more equitable and just world. Still, others may believe that violence may be the only recourse. But what are the best methods to take? What technology, religion, and societal changes would put mankind on the correct path? A fusion of science and spirituality, a focus on sustainable living, a commitment to social justice, and a celebration of human diversity, these are the hallmarks of a society on the path to enlightenment. But this path is not an easy one. How will mankind achieve this? What specific spiritual beliefs must be performed to assist? Some believe that meditation, mindfulness, and connection with nature can help to cultivate inner peace and expand our consciousness. Others focus on serving others, practicing compassion, and living in alignment with their values. Is one way better than the other? And which one comes first, if it even matters? Does individual transformation precede collective action, or does collective action catalyze individual transformation? The answer, it seems, is both. Individual and collective actions go hand in hand, creating a synergistic effect that amplifies our potential for positive change. How can this transformation even be achieved? This transitions us from individual actions to collective efforts. The power of collective action is undeniable. When individuals come together with a shared vision and a common purpose, they can create transformative change on a global scale. But it is not easy to get others to work together. How can we inspire widespread change? By sharing our knowledge, spreading our message, and connecting with like-minded individuals, we can create a ripple effect that transforms society from the ground up. But this also comes with new challenges. How does one determine what information is truthful and what is fabricated? But what are the benefits and ethical issues of large groups? The more people there are, the more change that can be implemented. However, there needs to be a system of ethics in order to ensure corruption does not occur. How does one ensure that widespread corruption does not occur? Connecting collective and individual actions together, it becomes clear that working together is humanity's best chance. By combining our individual talents, skills, and resources, we can create a powerful force for positive change. How will this happen, though? Can mankind put aside its differences to achieve an actual goal? Does humanity even have free will? Or are we simply puppets dancing on strings, controlled by forces beyond our comprehension? The answer, it seems, is more complex than we might imagine. While we may be influenced by external factors, we still have the power to choose our own thoughts, emotions, and actions. The idea of free will challenges the beliefs and desires of those in control. How would this affect current governments and their desire for control? A truly free humanity would be ungovernable, a force that cannot be contained or controlled. This is a threat to those in power, who seek to maintain their authority through manipulation and control. But how will governments react? So, as we approach the pre-conclusion of this video, let us reiterate the importance of seeking further knowledge, exploring our own potential, and never stopping seeking free will. These are the keys to unlocking our true potential and creating a brighter future for ourselves and future generations. With that being said, what is the final reminder that we have learned? Summarizing all of the video points in a final reminder, we have learned about the Annunaki, their influence on humanity, the potential for humanity to break free from their control, the importance of understanding ancient prophecies, and the power of individual and collective action. One must not forget these lessons. What will we do with this knowledge? The Annunaki departure may have been mankind's chance to truly be free, a moment to cast off the chains of predetermined destiny and chart our own course. What will we do with this opportunity? How will we succeed? These are not easy questions to answer, but it is a question that is very important. The final message that all of mankind must hear is one of encouragement. The world is mankind's oyster, and we must learn to embrace it. The choice ultimately is ours. So we reach the precipice of our tale, gazing back upon the Annunnaki's presence on Earth. From their celestial arrival, shimmering with reddish brilliance, to their terrestrial dominion, etched in the annals of Sumerian clay, their story has undeniably shaped human history. But what if their shaping of humanity does not fully define it? What if, in their departure, humanity was granted not just autonomy, but a profound choice? Did you know that, concealed within Sumerian texts and whispered through generations, lies the idea of a cyclical pattern of human development, a spiral dance of advancement and destruction orchestrated perhaps by the Anunnaki themselves. Specific passages depict periods of enlightenment, technological blossoming, and societal harmony, only to be followed by cataclysms that reset civilization to its nascent form. Yet, within these very texts, a glimmer of hope emerges, a potential for mankind to shatter these cyclical chains, to ascend beyond the role of mere pawns in a cosmic game. According to interpretations, humanity must recognize the patterns of the past, the seductive allure of power, the dangers of unchecked technological advancement, and the corrosive nature of internal conflict. It is the conscious and collective effort to break free from these pitfalls that holds the key to unlocking a future unbound by predetermined cycles. But it is more than just remembering the past. Consider the modern world, a stage upon which the echoes of Sumerian dramas resonate with uncanny precision. The Internet, a global network connecting billions, mirrors the Anunnaki's own communication systems, a tool for both enlightenment and manipulation. Nuclear weapons, capable of obliterating entire cities, reflect the destructive power wielded by the gods of old, a reminder of the potential for self-annihilation. The choice, as always, lies with humanity. What if the stories and beliefs about the Anunnaki have been completely misinterpreted? What if the information we've been told is completely false? What if we are missing out on a key aspect of their plans? What if the challenges they imposed, the trials they set before humanity, were not intended as instruments of control but as catalysts for growth? The potential for mankind is limitless. By overcoming the trials and tribulations, by confronting the darkness within and without, humanity emerges stronger, wiser, and more advanced than even the Anunnaki themselves. It is the forging of spirit through adversity, the alchemy of transforming suffering into strength, that unlocks the true potential of mankind. The Sumerian texts now must be analyzed not just as historical accounts but as coded messages, containing both warnings and words of encouragement. The Bible, a tapestry woven with threads of Sumerian lore, echoes this sentiment in the story of the fall. Was it truly a descent into sin, or an awakening to knowledge, a conscious choice to embrace free will, even at the cost of paradise? Is the tale of the Anunnaki a tragedy of masters and servants, or a coming-of-age saga where humanity must shed its infantile dependence and claim its rightful inheritance? Perhaps the Anunnaki did not abandon humanity, but merely stepped back, waiting for the moment when their progeny would be ready to stand on their own 2 feet. Perhaps they were simply waiting for something to happen. The avenue to choose is always up to the beholder. The story of the Anunnaki allows us to decide what to believe and allows us to move forward based on our own truth. But here's what most people miss. The key is not just in choosing a belief, but in embodying it, in living a life aligned with the values we espouse. It is through action, not just thought, that we pave the way for a new future. What if the essence of the Anunnaki saga is not about extraterrestrial domination or genetic manipulation, but about individual empowerment? What if it's about the idea that each of us holds within ourselves the potential to become our own God, to shape our own reality, to transcend the limitations imposed upon us by external forces? Now, let's transition to the possibilities that lie before us. Regardless of the extent of the Anunnaki's influence, the choices we make today will determine the course of tomorrow. The knowledge we have gained, the insights we have gleaned, are not set in stone, but rather tools that can be used to sculpt our own destiny. With all the options and non-options, will humanity continue down the path that has been written, or will we forge our own? The path of independence, spiritual growth, ethical and technological advancements, and harmonious coexistence. Imagine a world where technology serves not to enslave but to empower, where it amplifies human potential, connects us to higher states of consciousness, and fosters a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe. Imagine a world where technology and spirituality intertwine, where scientific progress is guided by ethical principles and a commitment to the well-being of all. Let us not forget the warnings of the past, the lessons etched in Sumerian clay. The seduction of power, the dangers of unchecked technological advancement, the corrosive nature of internal conflict, these are the pitfalls that we must avoid if we are to build a better future. There is a path to reach this new world, a path paved with both warnings and words of encouragement. It will not be easy, but the reward is far greater than any tribulation. To reach this goal, we must remember the relationship with the Annunaki and the ability to change that. This takes us to the edge of the future, and that the current opportunity to choose the next path is coming soon. Be ready and do not fear. A coming harvest, the importance of choice, and the potential for a new and empowered human race is near. Mankind's journey has been long, but the destination is near. But after everything we have learned, the question is, will mankind be ready to enter the world of their own making, or will they let it be controlled by others? List ye, O man, and lend me your ear. What they don't want you to know is that mankind's journey is just beginning. So we stand at the threshold, armed with the chronicles of the Annunaki, the echoes of their influence resounding through the ages. But what if the grand narrative of creator and created, master and slave, is but a fraction of a larger cosmic tapestry? What if the Annunnaki's most profound legacy isn't their dominion over Earth, but the gift of choice they unwittingly bestowed upon humankind? Did you know that the very concept of an Anunnaki harvest, so deeply ingrained in esoteric traditions, might not be a literal reaping of souls, but a test, a crucible in which humanity's true potential is forged? What if the return of the Anunnaki is not to rule, but to witness mankind's ascendance or demise at their own hands? Should humanity prepare for a celestial ascendance, or prepare for a dark ploy that must be stopped at all costs? List ye, O man, for the great harvest is coming, but the question remains, is it an inevitability or a challenge to overcome? Let us delve into the heart of this harvest, often portrayed as a period of judgment, a celestial reckoning where the worthy are elevated and the unworthy are cast aside. The Sumerian texts speak of a time of great upheaval, a cosmic sorting where some are granted access to higher dimensions, while others are left to languish in the ruins of the old world. The Atrahasis epic, for example, details the gods' capricious nature, their tendency to both create and destroy, their selective benevolence that favored a chosen few while condemning the masses. But who are these chosen few, and what purpose do they serve in the Annunnaki's grand design? Are the Anunnaki truly harvesting the souls of mankind? And if so, which souls do they seek, and for what purpose will they be used? What if the modern world is the very stage upon which this harvest is unfolding? Are we currently living through this period of judgment, unknowingly navigating the trials and tribulations set forth by our ancient progenitors? Perhaps the technological advancements, the spiritual awakenings, and the global crises we face are all pieces of a grand cosmic puzzle, a test of our collective consciousness. Perhaps what the Anunnaki have truly done is force humanity to decide whether to thrive or simply not survive. With all of this knowledge laid bare, there is no exact answer, and the audience must now decide for themselves what they should do. Interpret the harvest as a metaphor of not the coming of the gods, but the end of all things. Consider all the possibilities that may come from this, and the potential rewards or terrors. But what if there is simply no way to tell until it has already happened? Should humanity meet it head-on, or let it come naturally? Are we ready to ascend, or are we simply blinded by the story? It is important to remember that to simply ignore the possibilities could be considered the worst course of action to take. If this does come to pass, all previous warnings and knowledge that have been presented would be wasted, and all will be lost. But wait, there's more to this, is there not? With all of this information, the audience now has been on a journey, and now is ready to finally take the next step and choose for themselves what is to come. With all this information, it is not just about the facts that have been laid out, but rather the beginning of a tool for the audience to use as they will. What will that tool become? Should mankind sit idly by or take action as a collective? But if a harvest is coming, should it be stopped? Is it already too late to do so? What is the right path forward with all of this knowledge? The choice is yours, and your ancestors are awaiting your next step. Your choices will dictate the destiny of all. What is the destiny that you want to create? So, should the audience be passively seeking enlightenment, or take an active role in what is to come? Should there be resistance, or to simply accept? Discuss all possible paths for the audience to make their own final decision, and ultimately determine what they want to see come to fruition. The future may be shaped by those who can dictate and create. Let us consider all possible outcomes if the harvest occurs, or if it is stopped. If the harvest occurs, then all the information presented has been for nothing, as mankind will simply be led by the Annunaki to an unknown but guaranteed demise. If it is stopped, then the ability to forge a new path and future awaits. The road ahead may be difficult, but it is a future forged by mankind, for mankind. It is a future of true free will and true success. Imagine a world where humanity is free to evolve without external manipulation, a world where technology serves the common good, and where spiritual growth is guided by inner wisdom, not by celestial dictates. This is the promise of a future where the harvest is averted, where mankind reaps the rewards of its own labor, both physical and spiritual. But this can only be achieved through the power of choice, a power that has been sought out for many generations. To make the right choice is key to everything. Therefore, what is the power of choice? It is the power that has dictated everything that has come to pass. The entire journey has been for a reason, and now it is time for mankind to take the next step, after so many millennia, generations, and ages. The choice is coming, and it is arriving faster than what anyone realizes. Let us take a step back and synthesize all the potential outcomes and the knowledge that the audience must choose. The audience knows the Annunaki and should be equipped to make the right decision. If all the information was absorbed, then everything will be okay. If not, then mankind will be in dire straits. The narrative of the Annunaki is more than just a historical account. It is a story, a series of potential facts, and then a great gift to now shape mankind's future. The video was nothing more than a tool. It is now time to build. Your ancestors were the creators of this journey, but now is your turn. Therefore, with the knowledge of the Annunaki, the harvest, and the importance of choice, the only words left to say are, you are now ready. But there is still so much to consider, and so little time. The next path forward must be determined, so that mankind can truly stand on its own 2 feet. But what if there were other players at hand? As we reach the end of our exploration into the complete Annunaki history, a saga spanning millennia and touching the very core of human existence, know that the true journey has just begun. It is now time for all to think, prepare, and make the choice forward, to not be bound by others, but by free will. The facts, the theories, and the mysteries we have uncovered are now a tool for you, a compass to navigate the uncharted waters of our past and future. The evidence of their advanced civilization suggests the Annunaki were more than just gods, their motives more complex than previously thought, but it is not for us to determine their motives. With this knowledge of the Annunnaki's history, you can now dissect the meanings and implement the information to your everyday lives, but only as you see fit. The journey that has come to pass has now put you on the path that you must walk yourself, without the need of any others. We have explored their potential origins, their arrival on Earth, their genetic manipulation of humanity, their technological prowess, and their eventual departure or diminishing influence. But the overall theme highlights one thing: free will is mankind's most powerful tool. Even with celestial beings dictating and creating, the free will and choices of humans can change everything. This is the gift, or weapon, that was bestowed upon all. What is the final goal? The choice has been made up to this point, but it is yours to create it still. The enigmatic harvest can only be achieved through your understanding of the previous information, a symphony of knowledge culminating in a single defining moment. If this harvest comes to pass, is it to be stopped? Is there an escape? Or should it even be engaged? Your choice of destiny is coming faster than what you think, so the choice must come soon from you. If the Anunnaki did engineer human history, are we now at the precipice of taking control of our own destiny, of seizing the reins of our evolution? Or is this just a falsehood that is presented to keep you from what is coming? What is the price of choice? What is the price of truth? What is the price of free will? The story of the Anunnaki is not just a tale of gods and men, but one of our own journey as a species to reach the final goal. The road may be hard, but what road isn't? What is it to be human if there is nothing to fight for? Is humanity simply meant to ascend, or is it made to forge? These are the questions that the audience must now ask. While there is power with control over technology and the understanding of DNA, will humanity be good or evil with it? The choices made by the Anunnaki offer a powerful lesson of the morals that are right. Can humanity surpass the issues that the Anunnaki could not? Or will humanity repeat the same mistakes? Only time will tell. The Anunnaki story doesn't exist in a vacuum. It echoes through the myths and legends of countless cultures, suggesting a deeper, interconnected history of humanity. Consider the implications of this and remember that the human story is a story that is connected to everything. Despite the difficulties and uncertainties, we need to strive to reach our goals. What is to come is only a product of our choices. What can you create? What will you do? The power has been thrust upon all. What shall you create? The story of the Anunnaki, whether myth or reality, stirs within us a sense of wonder. And it is this sense of wonder that can propel us to do great. It is this wonder that has brought us to the point and has made all the choices that have come to pass. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? The choice is now yours. End the story of the Anunnaki by realizing that it is also the audience's story. They are connected, and it's up to us to shape what is to come. The legacy is now in your hands, and you must now make your own choices. What will your destiny be? What will all those to come think about your choices? Remember that it is up to you to perform research, but it is still their path to create. Knowledge can only get you so far, but is always crucial to take that next step. The need to seek knowledge and understanding is crucial. Now, it is up to you to make it happen. May the eternal light guide your path. The audience should be armed with knowledge to take that next step. Close the loop from the beginning of the video to the end to further enhance all the audience has learned. What is the ultimate choice that is to come?